15 seconds,
Okay.
just so you know. Okay, guys, hang on. Oh, somebody fixed it. Did you guys fix it? Well, hopefully you did. I'll have to look and, because that's the way it was before. What'd you do different? Stuff it?
Moved it
Oh, that was
farther.
rough.
You don't have a stronger swing up there.
Hey,
Watch out.
the meeting is now going to come to order. Like I say, I'll put it down and let it go. All right, roll call.
Ms. Howe?
Here.
Ms. Butler Challenger here. Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Benzi?
Here.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Here.
Ms. Kellerman?
Here.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, for those of you following the agenda, it is item 2, civil reflection, which is the Pledge of Allegiance, and after that, a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we have approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Did you want to change
Yeah,
something?
I wanted to change something.
I'll
she
withdraw
wants
the
You gotta wait.
motion.
You withdraw it. You withdraw the second.
Okay. I'd like to add under 13, capital B, under the first item, I'd like to add meeting procedures,
Okay, 13, unfinished business,
capital B, and have it be the first item.
items for action.
Yep.
Okay,
So we're
and so you want to
making
C? Or you
Nope,
want
I want it to be A.
Okay, so
Move
the others
everything else down.
will be
Yes,
B and
yep.
C. And this is, again,
Meeting procedures?
meeting, okay, got it.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with that change.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended, and we have a second.
Okay. Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes,
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes,
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Thank you.
all right, disclosure number 4, conflict of interest. Is there any? Doesn't seem to be any. So we'll move on to public statement 1. Number 5. Sorry about that. Any takers?
I'll always take a chance at public statement. Rick Curtis, Park Lake Road. I was glad to see that we have sidewalk discussion on the agenda, and I'd like to add a little bit to that at that time if I could. I've got some information that I think you guys would find helpful in this situation. One of the things that I wanted to bring up was the strategic plan that we don't seem to have right now. You can't build a house without a blueprint. And right now, you guys are running the township. And I don't mean this to sound insulting, but you're kind of running a township without direction. We're doing the housekeeping things that need to be done and doing the budget and that sort of stuff, but that strategic plan should be a message from you to the voters, to the people of this township, is this is where we're at and this is where we want to be in 4 years or however long your term is. And that's a blueprint on what you plan on doing, things that you hope to accomplish, things that you would like to advance toward accomplishing, things that are in the works, such as the initiative right now that's been going on about the museum. That would fit in that nicely. And I think Judy Gardy has mentioned this a couple of times, not that I will speak for you, Judy, but I think that has been some of the reason that the board seems to be all over the place. If you all had put together a vision, you can haggle it out then, and you can debate it then on whether or not that should or should not be part of our vision. But then once it's decided, everybody is traveling down the same road, going toward the same goal. And at this point, we've got goals that look like they're all over the place. So, I mean that in the nicest way. I didn't mean to make it sound like I was calling Jennifer out at the last meeting. I just had a simple request of where the DDA money was, because that's something that we could put into sidewalks right now. And that's one of the things that I wanted to mention to you during, when that comes up. If you'd allow me to speak on it, I'd appreciate it. But that's something that we could get going right now. Although you and I know it's not true that you have done nothing, but there hasn't been much done tangible, that the people can grab onto and visually see it, or play with it in the parks or whatever. It's just, it looks like nothing's getting done, and unfortunately, you guys, the board before mine had a huge reputation of a do-nothing board. All they would do was make sure that they had police cars and fire trucks. And I think in a lot of ways that was quite true. This board has a reputation worse than that. They're not doing anything except fighting. And we got to get beyond that. Thank you much.
Thank you, Rick. Is there anybody else? Public statements? Doesn't seem to be. All right, item 6, county, state, federal, and other agencies, and I don't see anybody here, so we'll go past that. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Thank you.
I had it somewhere. All right, our next item would be item 8, the approval of the minutes. And I do have a question with that as soon as I can find it. Oh, okay. For those of you who have minutes, it would be on page 7. And it deals with what I stated. What I didn't see here was what I stated. And so I'm asking that that be included. And if you need to have it
This
written.
is a summary of what you stated.
No, it's
We
not.
don't do a word by word.
Yeah, right. Okay, so then it needs to be stated that there were comments made with regards to our spending the money for the attorney to sit in our, which that was not put in it. I do have a copy of it someplace. So if you need to have it written, yeah.
I don't remember that being in there.
I know it's not in there.
But I don't remember listening.
You always pride yourself on being able to go back to the minutes, so, or back to the film. So that's what I said. I also want to reiterate, and that wasn't put in the minutes, so I'm asking that it be put in. If you need to have it summarized, I can certainly do that.
Do you want to summarize it again at the end of this, and we'll just put it in these comments?
Oh, I plan on doing that,
Okay, sounds good.
but I do want that changed. I want those added where they should be on the 17th of April. So in the minutes, and I will reiterate it a second time, just so it's very clear.
I honestly don't remember you saying that. Or
I
listening.
did.
Because I thought she said it during.
I did. It was my
the-
comments. But it was said, and it wasn't put in, so,
Okay, how about if I go back and listen to it, and if it was indeed said, I will indeed change it and put it in.
no, it has to be done now. I did some checking with MTA on that, because I thought you could do that. But MTA says, once the minutes are approved, that's in cement,
Correct.
right? So you can't go back and fix it.
Okay.
So it has to be fixed now.
Or you hold the minutes till the next meeting.
Or you hold the minutes till next meeting, you can certainly do that.
I think that's what we
But
should do then.
then they're not approved.
Okay.
Okay,
Then we'll hold
no.
them until the next meeting.
Okay.
That's good. All right. Do we need to vote on that? So they're not approved? Okay.
Just bring them back.
Okay, so I'll put not approved.
No, this wasn't voted on.
It's the same thing.
No, it isn't.
Okay. So they'll bring it back May, is it May 17th? Is it the same day? What's the next meeting? This is the first, 15th? So,
15th?
okay. Okay, got it. Thank you. That is. So they're not approved at this time. Okay. We're on item 9, approve of the vouchers.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers as submitted.
Support.
Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes,
Ms. Kellerman?
Checked them out.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes.
Okay, item 10, which is the treasury report. There doesn't seem to be one. So we will go to committee appointments. Also, doesn't seem to be any. Township committee reports. Judy, you're up. Thank you.
Just whipping right through the
Whipping
agenda,
right
Marie.
through.
That's great.
They love it.
My name is Judy Gardy, and tonight I'm representing the Senior Services Advisory Board. I live on Park Lake Road. First and foremost, I want to thank my team. We had a fantastic event on Saturday night with Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, impersonators, a tribute to them. The auditorium was full of people singing and clapping, and Alan Turner passed out tambourines, and people were playing tambourines, and there was one woman who left at the end who said to Kim, "If you have another one of these, you better let me know, because I'm coming to every one. I never had so much fun." But we had a great team.
It was
Kim's
nice.
here. Kim Fouts provided most of the leadership and the organization for the event, and she worked with other members of the team. Cindy Cronk did a fantastic job with the silent auction and the program. I'll pass the program around. There are about 30 local businesses that advertise in the program, and it's a tremendous show of support for the Bass Senior Center and the work that's going on over there. And I greatly appreciate the effort that was put in to raise that money. But maybe some of you don't know why we're trying to raise money. But when we expanded the kitchen, we took away 250 square feet of multi-purpose area for the expansion of the kitchen, which really reduced our seating capacity. And right now we have 8 tables with 6 chairs at each table. We're generally sitting for 48 in the dining room. We can put more chairs at each table, but I've lost my place in my paper here, but that's okay. So our goal, so when we expanded the kitchen, we almost didn't get enough money for the local match. Finally, we were able to get money from a lawsuit with Myers about lighting. We won a $60,000 lawsuit, and that gave us the money, that match that we needed for their grant to expand the kitchen. So we got the Community Foundation grant, we got the money from Myers, and we were able to go forward. But there was a while in there when we weren't sure we would be able to match that locally, so the seniors and the Senior Services Advisory Board committed to raising $50,000 in case we ever needed a local match for a grant that might allow us to expand the senior center. So that was our goal, is to get to that $50,000. We were at $37,000 last week, and I don't know exactly what the accounting is. We're not quite at $50,000, but we're a lot closer. And in 2 weeks, we'll give you the report on how we did at the event. In your packet, Karen has provided a lot of data about our current meal program at the senior center. And it is interesting to understand or to look at that data to see exactly how many meals we're serving every day. But I thought that it might be even easier if we looked at it on a graph. So Ryan, would you mind? Thank you.
That's a good idea. That is a good idea.
You can see I started collecting numbers on senior services, on the meals served at the senior center in 2013, which is I think when I joined the Senior Services Advisory Board. And if you look at 2013, we were serving on average 39 meals a day, and it went up in 14, 15, 16. Then we actually, after 19, we had COVID, so we were serving an average of 38 meals a day. You can see that we've come back quite robustly from COVID to now we're serving in 2022 an average of 62 meals a day, and so far in 23, 70 meals a day. And if you project that growth in 24, we would serve 79, and in 25, 89 meals a day, projecting the growth as we see it right now. And so I think that that data alone shows you that we are seeing a rapid increase in the usage of the senior center. And when you look at the data that's provided in the master plan, now Rick alluded to the fact that you don't have a strategic plan, which means that we have to go back to the master plan that you adopted. And in the master plan, you can see that on page 34, 26.6% of the population in 2019 in Bath Township was over the age of 55. So the population of people aging in our community is increasing drastically. The demand on our service is increasing drastically. And if you look again at the master plan, Goal 1, Objective 3, strengthening the township's position as an ideal community to live, work, and play, you can see that it speaks in Action 6 of the value that we place in making Bath Township a very comfortable and friendly place for seniors to grow old in. Now, my question for you, I learned last week that the Planning Commission is now looking at having their CIPs due the end of June. So we've talked about this before, and my question really is, how would you like us to proceed at this point? Karen is, I think, continuing to work to get the contract signed with the architect. We've been visiting senior centers around the region, and I'll just tell you right now that the senior center that we have in Bath is fantastic. People love it, and it's the best that we've seen so far. And we have a lot to be proud of, and we're growing, and it's time for us to really think together about how you want to proceed. And whether or not, my question is whether or not you would feel it would be appropriate to have a CIP for the purpose of expanding the senior center. Would anyone have a comment? Marie?
Of course. When you talk about the CIP to expand it, does that mean a new facility, or is that the architect that you're looking at right now to?
We'll be working with an architectural
Okay.
designer, and he'll look at our existing space,
Okay. That's-
how much area is available around the existing space for expansion, whether or not we have an adequate or can provide an adequate number of parking places for the expanded square footage that we would have available to us on the present land, and then the flow of traffic that an increased center might create on the parking here. Over and above that, perhaps the answer will be there isn't enough parking, and then we've asked him to consider what would a senior center look like on a different piece of land, a new building. So he'll provide that data for us.
That's what so the capital improvement plan is for the architect to provide the data. Is that what that's?
We have
so
an
you can't do it without
architectural
that?
designer that we're working with right
Okay.
now.
Oh,
Well, we haven't got the contract. Karen, has the contract been signed yet?
I just got it from legal today, I believe.
Right, so we're working on that right now.
okay. So when you talk about a CIP, a capital improvement plan, that capital improvement plan is to look at what the senior center has today for parking, for
Expansion
space.
of the senior center. Mm-hmm.
You can't do that without a CIP.
Well, you can.
Okay, no.
I mean, that would be up to the Board of Trustees,
Sure.
whether or not they wanted to include expanding the senior center in their budget.
Gotcha.
But that's
But the
your
CIP
decision. That's, you as a board have to decide whether or not you support expanding the senior center.
But what does the CIP do?
Well, it puts issues before the planning board for them to
Okay.
recommend to the trustees for capital improvements. The senior center expansion has been before the planning board and has received positive recommendations from the planning board to the township board for funding in several of the last years, 17, 18, and 19.
Okay. Cool, thank you. Oh, trustee Friedman Bliss.
Judy, the
Has a
date
question.
that I have for the CIP projects is May 26th is the due date? Had
The due
you-
date, it's not June 26th. Did I misspoke?
I just wanted to make sure you didn't have information that had changed since I've seen it.
I misspoke. I'm very sorry, Brian.
No,
Thank you for
no,
bringing
no
that
problem.
to
I just
my
wanted to make
attention.
sure we were on
So
the
the
same
date
page.
is June.
No,
The date is May.
the
That's
date,
what I
the due
thought.
date is May 25th. And that's, I mean, I've written a lot of these, Karen's written a lot of these CIP applications. They're time-consuming, and they're very thought-provoking, and they ask really hard questions. And, I've worked on answering these questions a lot in the past, and my question is, right now, is there interest in the part of the board to look at expanding the senior center? If we propose that, and the planning board sends it forward to you with a recommendation, as they have in the past, what action might we expect from you? Is there support for that?
Yes,
Judy, thank you for the question. For me, it depends on budget, right? I do think the CIP is the appropriate place to put it through. I think it meets all of the criteria. I think it then goes through the appropriate stages and gets vetted appropriately. So I would encourage you all, as one board member and a planning commission member, to put it through.
I think it's valuable, but Marie?
no, I was just gonna, I understand exactly what the trustee's saying. What I'm questioning is the dollars that are being spent for the architect, is that the cart before the horse, or is that, does the planning commission come
Let me explain
first?
just a little bit more.
Okay.
I have a great team. Not only have we put on an event,
Yes,
but
you
before
do.
that, we were asked to provide a community conversation for the township board.
Yes.
The first recommendation was looking at the facility and expanding the facility. The second was increasing hours. So when the Senior Services Advisory Board appeared before the township board last summer, I think it was, last fall, we asked if we could have $5,000 to hire an architect to look at expanding the senior center. And the response was, host a community conversation, engage the community in a process that asks the question about the senior center and its services, its facilities. Once the conversation has been completed, then come back and we'll determine whether or not it's good to bring in an architect. This money, Jason made the resolution, it was seconded and passed.
Right.
Steve asked Jason, where would you suggest the money come from? And Jason suggested it could come out of the ARPA funds. So $20,000 that evening was set aside for this project. We spent about $3,500 for the facilitator, and the contract for the architect is less than $5,000. So of that $20,000, we haven't expended even half of it, but we're still working to research the questions and get the answers that you're interested in, that you feel you need to make a final decision. My question is, we started here at your level to request the resources that we needed to answer the questions that we have to provide the planning board with if that's the avenue that the board wants us to take. You have the flexibility within your budget to fund any kind of a project that you wanted. It doesn't have to come from the planning board, but Ryan is saying that perhaps it carries more weight if it has the support of the planning board as it comes forward to you.
So the architect would be on hold
No, he's
until-
going to work right now and get us hopefully the information by
That's
the
what
end
I
of the month.
That's what I wondered when she said she had the contract. I was going to say, okay, how are we doing that if it goes to the CIP? Are you
Well,
looking-
that information will inform the CIP application that
correct.
we write.
Do you think you can have that done by the 25th of May? Yeah.
Well, we're a good team. I
You
think
are a
with
good team.
help from Karen and her team and the team that we have working on the project, I think that we can probably do that. I'm not going to go to Moldova between now and then.
I was just going to say, you have a trip coming up. Okay, no, I think I understand more of what's being said.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Ryan? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, he does it
the
right
data.
this time.
I know that in the past, the senior center has created to-go food or takeout food. Do these numbers reflect those numbers as well?
This is the first, during the pandemic, we did a phenomenal job working with the Tri-County Office on Aging, and we distributed over 10,000 meals during the pandemic to our seniors. The Tri-County Office on Aging did not even want to use Bath as a distribution point. And when I called her and I said, there's no doubt we could get more than 25 people who would come here to the senior center and pick up meals, she allowed us to have a site right here, and working with Karen, we were able to have Bath Township Senior Center as a pickup site, and we distributed, because I checked with the Tri-County Office on Aging, almost 11,000 meals that year during COVID. So we were never down, and we provided ongoing services to our seniors during COVID. After COVID, we started picking up the to-go meals. We never did that before. So our kitchen is turning out a third more meals than if we were just having in-house. We don't have the seating in-house to serve, sitting down, all those people who are coming in to get meals every day.
So these numbers are just people eating in, not the takeout meals as well?
You'll see on that form that Karen provided you, let's just look at 1 month. Let's look at March of '23, just as an example. have right in front of me, 23, let's see.
The last page.
It looks like it includes both of them, the to-go and the in-house.
So March
Average to go.
23, we
Average
served a
in-house.
total of 79 meals, 31 were to go and 43 were in-house. Now, again, I said we have 48 seats, so with those 43 in-house and our 5 staff, every single seat in the dining room was full. Look at the 3-3, March 3rd, 2023. We served a total of 68 meals.
Okay.
24 were to go, 39 were in-house. On the 6th, we served 77 meals, 29 to go, 43 in-house. Down here on 3/27, we served a total of 107 meals. 39 were to go and 63 were in-house. We set up the card tables that we use at the back for cards, and we added additional seating, and we fed 63 people in-house that day.
How many turned away that day?
I'm sorry?
How many got turned away at the door?
That day, I can't tell you, we very rarely, but we have had to turn people away. We've asked for lunch coupons so that when people are turned away, they can come back for a free lunch. Like I said, we very rarely have to turn people away, but our numbers are increasing so much and so rapidly that even if we only look and start to deal with the fact that the kitchen is busier than you can imagine, and we probably need more refrigeration and more freezer space, and we really have to seriously look at investing in our senior center so that we can continue to provide quality services and programs for our seniors.
Thank you.
Pleasure is mine. Happy to serve. If anyone wants to see the local businesses that supported a senior center, that'd be great.
Thank you, Judy. Graph was wonderful. That really helped. Okay. Okay, we're on item 13, which is unfinished business, and there doesn't seem to be items for introduction or discussion. Oh,
I just like agenda.
no, I was going to say, public comments are gone. Okay, we have 13B, items for action. This one is for the attendance at the Board of Trustees meeting by Faith.
A was supposed to be
We moved A up there.
meeting procedures. Is A.
Oh, did I miss it?
You have it written
Oh,
there.
I had, yeah, but that's right. That's right, you turned it around. I do have it written. Okay,
That's okay.
meeting procedures, and I'm assuming the clerk because she wanted it.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to give everybody, I gave everybody a handbook to their positions that I received from MTA. So I got the clerk, and you guys got the treasurer, and so forth. I also handed out and made copies of the Open Meetings Act and the Board Meetings Order that Rick requested last week. So I thought everybody should have a copy, an updated copy,
that's a
so we're
good-
all working on the same one.
All right,
Go ahead.
let me double check. Your updated copy is, no, not that one. April
Fifth of 2021.
of 2000, April 5th of 2021. Got it. That's the most recent.
Yep.
Good lady. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Okay. So I'm hoping this will help us as a group, and I'm wondering if there's anything else I can make copies of so that we're all on the same page?
That's going to put us on the same page.
I'm hoping
Okay.
that it will help.
Because that's one of my questions with the next,
No, I'm just hoping that it will help.
no?
So
That,
if anybody
oh, no
has any
question.
questions,
Is Robert's
MTA
rules in here?
Robert's
No.
rules is not in there,
Okay.
but if
That's
you
my
would like
question.
a
That's was-
copy,
oh, good, yeah.
I could
Yeah.
order copies
You think
for
we should,
everybody.
I just, that was one thing I was gonna bring up, that there's some items in what I read very quickly today, like an oddball thing that I hadn't heard of, that you can't bring up the same subject more than once or twice in a meeting without certain procedures, there's a lot of rules that I think if we followed, we would expedite our meetings.
I talked to MTA today, and a comment was made that because we are a charter township, that we do not follow all Robert's rules.
All.
Well, that was the question with the next that I had.
Some we do, some we don't. Great.
Because we're a charter township, yep.
Okay.
So that's what I
Exactly.
was told today,
Yeah.
and so,
Wonder if we can figure out,
I have to I can look into that more,
be
though.
curious, because some of the stuff that we make a mess of makes the meetings go longer. Like, I shouldn't say this twice.
Did you
Okay.
that to her? Maybe that might be helpful that I got.
It's a cheat sheet. That is in actually the bigger
The
Robert's
bigger
rules.
version.
Yeah. Well, not the bigger one. They're-
Al just showed me a small book, but there is maybe a newer version. I don't know how old this
Yeah,
version is.
that one's old.
I can also get an
6 years
MTA
old.
book
Yeah.
of authorities and responsibilities
For
also.
2023.
But I can get updated.
Yeah,
one,
updated.
I can get one of these for everybody if you guys want them, and I can also get the Roberts rules if everybody would like one. Yes,
I say yes.
yes?
Parts that are
I have a whole
pertinent
box
to
full,
us.
so don't count me in.
Okay,
Seriously.
okay.
I also have one at home.
You have one? Okay. I'm just trying to give information to
No.
everybody to,
Yeah, that's
And that's
great.
appreciated.
Together.
This is great. Thank
It
you.
is great.
okay,
Or to go ahead and get them, and at least they can have them.
okay.
That's true.
They might not read them.
Like a
but they can
library.
have 'em.
We can have a reference
Could I have
point.
that?
Oh, can I look at it when you guys are done then? No, I just want to look at it when you guys are all done.
Oh, no, I've seen this, but I
Thank
wanted
you,
to make
Cindy,
sure.
that's great.
There's only one comment I have with this. Was there a reason why it wasn't stapled?
Was, it was. Oh, you got one that was.
I got one that wasn't.
This was an exception, I'm sorry. It was
Nope.
a special one.
You're
I
special.
figured that, that's why because I could take it apart and mark it, so that's appreciated. This is much better. Thank you. Because mine was like, why isn't that stapled? I went home and stapled it, so, hey.
Do we get one if we bought tickets and didn't go?
All right, there you go. Okay.
I have more, Madam
Oh,
Supervisor.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You brought it to my attention at the last meeting that I needed to help you more. That's how I understood it, when you made the
Okay.
comment, okay?
Oh, you
So-
gonna do our 3-minute thing?
I'm offering to do a timer for the
Okay.
public meeting. I've had a couple complaints
I'm sure you
stating
have.
that you've let people talk for longer periods
Yep.
of 2 minutes while other people are only allowed. So if you allow me to do this,
No,
okay?
thank you anyway, I greatly appreciate it, but I am
I'm-
one that, the 3-minute rule is something I have an issue with.
I'm
Always have.
asking the board as a whole,
The
if
only-
somebody would
and I-
like to
and I'll
make a
explain-
motion to allow me to
If that's,
use the timer at the,
My only
Yes.
concern, Marie, is if we agree to use the rules of order, but not that particular rule of order, then we're picking and choosing, which I know
which is what
you,
we do. Then
and
that's
and
what
you
I-
have
No,
indicated that you don't
you've
like
done it.
that.
That's, no.
Marie,
that's-
Marie,
okay.
I'm not accusing you.
I get it,
Marie,
I get it, I
can
understand, but I'm gonna tell you something.
Could I just finish my comment?
Sure, go ahead.
You have indicated that you don't like us picking and choosing. I agree with you. In this case, that is one of the rules, so I think if we're gonna move forward with the rules, we need to move forward with all of them.
Okay, let me explain to you what I grew up with, so to speak. In the legislature, the only time that we used a 3-minute rule was when we held committee hearings, and there were a lot of people who were testifying, whether they were lobbyists or whoever they were. Your lobbyist usually represents anywhere from 1 to 25 clients. So when we had a public hearing, and we knew that there was going to be a lot of people, yes, the 3-minute rule was actually in practice. So that they knew when they came in that they had 3 minutes to get it out and get it on and run with it. It's like an elevator speech. Here, we have maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3. With luck, my God, we could have 4 or 5, which would be really nice. So the 3-minute rule for them, all that does for you is allow you to cut them off, tell them they're done, and it's time for us to go. Go ahead.
Are there then rules in here that I could choose not to follow because I grew
have.
up a different way?
Yes, you have.
So I
And
I
that's
can
why-
do that, Marie?
This is why, well, you've done it.
Marie, we're trying to
Yes.
move forward. We're
I
trying
know,
to
and I
follow the
understand
rules.
that. I understand.
So what I'm asking is, if we're not gonna follow that rule,
Okay.
you have indicated you don't like picking and choosing. I'm with you, I agree. So are there rules that I can pick and choose?
There are rules you do pick and choose.
Okay, moving
So,
forward, Marie.
moving
Moving forward from today.
No, honest to God, you even did it right, which I was very pleased, so I thank you for that. This
You're
was the
welcome.
first time that you've actually done it correctly, and that was good. That was very good. So moving forward, my suggestion would be, instead of a timer telling people they're finished before their thoughts are out, especially people like Meg Ritchie and who have a hard time, she tries really hard, and she does, to formulate those. That can't be done in 3 minutes, so am I going to cut her off at 3 minutes? So my suggestion would be eliminate your 3 minutes.
I think that's a fair suggestion. The rules state that you need to
That's-
present that in writing, and then we have to wait a meeting to vote on it.
Okay,
So
We could-
that's a
And so-
that's a fair request.
that's a fair request. So this is a fair request also,
Well, that is what the rules
to
say.
come in and say, I'm going to do your 3 minutes because I want to help you, and I greatly appreciate that. Yes, but that's no help for me. You're looking at this group to help. It's not me. I can sit here and run that friggin' thing all the time. I can say, you're done, out, done, watch, Rick. I can do that. That's not an issue. I don't choose to do that because of exactly why I told you. The only time you really use a 3-minute rule is when you have a lot of people that are going to testify, and you're going to spend a lot of your time listening to them. So you do a 3-minute rule, and they know it when they come in. For me, when I have one person, for example, which is what we had, 3 minutes to me, I'm sorry. I can say to Rick when he was, and he knows, I would go, okay, 6 minutes is, enough. It's time to wrap it up. And he does. People have done that. They've been really, really good about it. So I understand what you're saying. So, and I will put it in writing if that's what you prefer.
It's not what I
That-
prefer, it's what the rules state.
Then this should be in writing.
It is in writing, it's in here,
And where?
in the rules.
Says
No.
3 minutes.
No, what I'm saying is, she's saying that she wants to help me. I don't want her help when it comes to that. So she wants to put a motion in that says that I have to follow the rule. And what you're saying is, if you do that, you need to put it in writing.
No,
So
that's
I'm
not what I'm
saying
saying, Marie.
if-
I'm sorry if that was unclear.
I didn't say you said it. The clerk said it. She said,
Just
I'll.
said I said that.
No, she said it. When she said that
I offered-
I will put it in.
You stop.
I offered to help you.
Yes, you did, and I said
had
thank you, and I
said
greatly
that-
appreciated
okay.
it. But no, for that. So if that's what you want, then, and yes, it is in the rules for 3 minutes. I don't need the help for 3 minutes. I can do that myself.
But you're also saying you won't.
I run the meeting, so if I'm not gonna have the rule, then if you prefer that, by God, I can do it. You got it, guys? 3 minutes. Okay,
Well, you should allow them also, if they're short, only 2 minutes, that they give the extra minute to the next person. Like you was just talking about the
so
government doing.
you're saying if, for example,
Rick talks for 2 minutes.
then
and
he, then he
well,
says, I got a minute left, I'm gonna give it to Judy.
He can give it to Judy.
Would that make you happy?
I don't know.
Well,
You
is that,
consider him happy, but.
well, is that
I'm just saying,
something,
that's-
okay.
That's what the government does in their meetings, when they give time back to each other.
Yes, they do, if, in fact, they do yield it, and that's done on the floor. But if that's what you want, if that works for you,
I
then,
gotta get something that works for the whole board, not just for me. And it's in our rules,
and
what
so,
we do.
so what you're saying is that
She is
it's gonna,
offered to give this-
and I've said no, and that's okay, and I greatly appreciate that.
Well, you still have to do it the rest of the board.
We need to amend the rules if we want to amend the rules, period. Not
And-
just say, we're gonna blow this one off because we feel like it, and this one we're not, and that's what Ryan was getting at. If you
Exactly.
can't,
And I understand that.
yeah, so
Yep.
I would
So will
suggest
have
we
it in
amend the
writing.
rules that a 5-minute max.
May I offer a suggestion? I know it's out of order.
No,
Oh,
no.
for me, it would be okay. For them, it's no. So, no.
I think I could fix this for you.
I'm sure you probably could. Put it in writing. Thank you.
So are we going to bring the board meeting orders back with the change of the minutes, or
No, because I haven't put it in writing.
you would need to let us know what you want to
Yeah,
change?
exactly. That'll work. And that also falls into this next, are you finished?
Okay. So you do not want my help to
No,
help you use
but
the
I
timer?
appreciate that.
I would like to make a motion to approve the clerk to use the timer during public meetings.
Support.
Go ahead.
Ms. Howe?
No,
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes,
Ms. Kellerman?
No.
Mr. Fewens Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes,
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes.
Unbelievable.
hey, this is what this board does, so hey. All right,
Can I make a
can we go
motion?
on to B? Is that, are you done? Okay. So be sure you put that in there, that the motion passed. And it was 4-2? 5-2? Okay, thank you. Okay. We're on 13B, well, actually 13A, small b, which is the attendance of the Board of Trustee meeting by the Fahey Schultz, Butch, is that how you say it? Birch? I'm sorry. Birchick, Birchick, I'm close. No cigar. And Rhodes. And that is under items for action. So do I have a motion and a second so we can have a discussion? Trustee?
I move approval of the proposal presented tonight from Fahey, Schultz, Burzik, and Rhodes, with the provision that we could end this at any time, that this isn't signed for a full year.
Is there a second? Don't fall asleep, Joe. You get a second? No? No second? All right, so if there's no second, it fails. Okay. You want to try again?
Yep.
Okay, shoot.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the superintendent to sign the contract as presented without the provision I previously listed.
I second.
Discussion? Because I have a discussion.
I do too.
To approve the proposal as presented.
With no limit,
With no limit,
no limit, so it's
That's-
lifetime.
exactly. So we're-
I wouldn't describe it as lifetime, no.
What is the time frame? And I don't understand if it's, we can't limit in 6 months, can we limit 2 years?
Well, I tried, I didn't get a second, so I don't disagree with you.
So there
So
is no
what-
limit,
so
it's
there's no
unlimited
limit.
lifetime. Bath Township will have lawyers at every meeting. Okay, I want to understand.
Hold on, I didn't say that. I'm deferring to Karen, who knows the contract better than I do.
Oh.
well, there is a contract.
It's right here.
Yes, that's what I'm, so this is alleged to be the contract that we're going to be signing, right? This standard
Correct.
terms of engagement?
Correct, which on page 2 of the contract indicates termination of representation. You may terminate our representation at any time with or without cause. We may terminate your representation if you fail to pay us any amount invoiced, fail to cooperate with us, or we determine that your representation would violate the rules of professional responsibility or be impractical.
Or be impractical? It's impractical from the get-go. And this is what I had asked before. Now, maybe I'm being redundant on this, so help me out. How was it that this came about? Because he states, Mr. Patterson states in his letter that the board asked. Now, again, we discussed this last term, or last session. So who was it that?
I had indicated at our last meeting that it was not the board that had requested it, but I had spoken to board members. So it wasn't the entire board. You didn't request it formally at a meeting.
Okay.
It was asked if I could obtain
I don't know what you're doing.
a proposal to bring to the board.
Okay, so you talked to a number of different board members.
Correct.
Okay. Do you remember how many you talked to?
I would indicate at least 3,
Okay,
but it wasn't,
okay.
it wasn't specifically to this. It was looking for a way in which we could be better.
Okay. So my question then with this is the same as it was before, which I asked, where'd it go? I'm losing stuff here. It had to do with whether or not this request was coming in at $600 a pop, which means $1,200 a month.
And that was based on
And
our
that's-
meetings running 3 hours.
Right. Well, whatever it runs on. And that was my question that I had. Are we going to run our meetings according to Robert's rules, or are we running it according to our board rules?
Well, in your
'Cause
board
that'll
rules,
make a
you refer
difference how they-
to Robert's rules.
Yes, we do. So
Yes.
which is, you can't go back and forth necessarily.
This
Oh, you're shaking your head, yes. we
This
can.
this
Okay.
board agreed to,
Anything that wasn't in our rules, we deferred to.
It's governed by Robert's rules.
So we're governed by our board rules.
I, Yes.
That's how I read it. That's what I guess I'm,
they're a
I'm
tool.
asking the
they're-
rest of the board.
Yes, they're a
if they
tool
have-
to help us regulate the
Okay.
meeting. Correct.
Okay, so in reading the board rules, that is to start when? When would our $600 payment to them start?
The first time they attend a meeting, if that's what this board votes.
Okay, so most likely we're looking at May for one.
If
One
the board
access.
approves it tonight, then yes, they would be at the next May meeting.
And the purpose of that is for the efficiency to make it run better. Is that correct? To streamline the efficiency and effectiveness of the meetings. So these 3 members that you talked to are feeling that this not streamlined and efficient, and the effectiveness of the board or the meetings is not there.
No, that, there's
Okay.
oftentimes we get bogged down in arguing about procedures on how to move forward. So yes, that's correct.
Seems like if we read Robert's rules and we followed it, we would be all fixed.
But that's not what we're saying. We're saying the board rules are what we're to follow, and then if something comes up that's different, you defer then to Robert's rules. Is that correct? So
My
that's what.
understanding on what you all voted on, yes.
Okay, so those who attend, the attorneys who attend, understand that the board rules
That would be,
actually are the first line of defense.
that would
Then
be
you
provided
defer
to them.
to-
Yes.
Okay. Personally, I still think it's a waste of money.
Okay.
But that's me.
I will share with you, after our last meeting, I found out that the City of St. John's, our SCUMA director serves on the City of St. John's. They have a lawyer at each of their meetings. The City of DeWitt has a legal counsel at each of their meetings, and the City of Owasso. Cities, you're correct, yeah. But that was shared with me, and I thought I would share that with this group.
I know, there's a difference between, but my question then with that is, and you've talked to them, when they run into, what kind of issues are they gonna run into that their attorney straightens them out, so to speak?
I can't answer that for you. The manager at the city of DeWitt told me that even when he was in Marysville, they always had legal counsel at their meetings, and he found it effective.
Why?
I didn't ask him that.
Okay. No, that's, well, that
I
would-
just, he just shared with me that they had a legal counsel at their
so
meetings.
we don't know why that was effective.
He just
that they
said
pay
when
that kind of
things come
money.
up, it helped them to work through issues.
Okay. So they're like a mediator.
He didn't use that word for me. I would
Well,
be
when
like
you-
you, I would guess that that's,
Yeah, when you work
A
through
term
issues,
that would-
that's what that
would
is.
help, yes.
Okay. Now, this money is supposed to come from where?
the budget would
General-
have to be amended.
The budget would have to be amended.
Correct. We didn't budget for this
No,
money
we
to be
did not.
spent.
Okay.
So it would have to be amended.
And when do you plan on doing that?
It depends on what the vote is tonight.
Okay. Well, let's say it passes.
I would come back and I would budget through the end of this fiscal year to have legal counsel at each meeting, and whatever that number of meetings left this year
It's
would
about
times
$9,000.
$600.
Yeah, well, $1,200 a month. But this one would be, May would be 6, so it runs about $9,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm so focused. Stand up and yell.
On meetings that we only have 2 hours, does that mean that they will charge us the 600 or they will charge us 4?
They have indicated that if the meetings ran less than that amount of time, that they would work with us to charge less.
So if we had a
If the meetings
45
stay
minute
at 3 hours a meeting, then it's $600.
But that shouldn't be because it says efficiency and effectiveness of the meeting.
I'm just saying, most of our
Okay,
meetings in the
okay.
past have ran 3 hours when I provided that
Well, when we have busy
information.
agendas, that's absolutely correct. Okay. So they're gonna work, so if it's an hour, which will make you guys happy, you get to go home, absolutely. That's the goal. Somebody's talked, it would be nice, but, okay. So it's $600, all right. Trustee Kellerman, did you have some questions?
No, just that I think if we followed Robert's rules to the best of our ability, it would eliminate a lot of problems that go on, and if everybody studies that a little bit better, that it would be smoother without attorney fees involved. That's my opinion.
No, and that's appreciated. That's why we have board rules, I guess. Is that my understanding of why we have board rules is
Yep.
because that ends up pretty much following Robert's rules, but they're
And
broken
politeness would be
constantly,
nice,
so-
too.
Okay. All right.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
No.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes,
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
No. So I'm assuming then that they'll be here the end of May. Okay. Now, the contract, just so I'm understanding, the contract is that, or information, whichever way you want to look at it, this contract will be written up and signed by who?
In your packet, it was to be signed by me.
Okay. Next would be C, which is mine, public access encasement by the Clinton County. And you're sitting there. I would like to, I'll read it and then you, it's saying that this deed for 5 acres, if I'm understanding that, for the Bath Charter Township to accept the approval that they're gonna abandon, Clinton County's going to abandon that acreage, and that the township would pick it up, that we as a board would accept that 5 acres, if I'm understanding that correctly. Or you do nothing, we just leave it as is.
Marie, do you want me to read what the options are?
Sure.
Okay, so option number 1 was Clinton County would remain the owner of said property and grant an easement to Bath Township. By doing this, it would protect access to the township's property if the road right-of-way is abandoned. Option 2, transfer Clinton County's property to Bath Township and allow the Drain Commission to retain an easement for purposes of maintaining the berm and water control structure. Drain Commissioner Haynes believes the Clinton County Board could deed the property to Bath Township. And option 3 was do nothing.
Say 2 again, just the last sentence is all I needed.
The Drain Commissioner believes, this is what he said in the,
Yeah.
that Clinton County could deed the property to Bath Township, but it didn't sound like he was positive. He believed, he used the word believed,
That they could abandon it.
that they would deed the
Deed
property.
it over, okay.
Yeah, to Bath Township.
So there's a difference between deeding it and abandoning it. Being that, obviously, when you deed something as opposed to abandoning it. Gotcha.
I don't think their intention was to abandon it.
Oh, I thought it was. Okay.
It was the homeowners were going to abandon the road. They wanted the Clinton County Road Commission to abandon the road right of way. But I don't think the Clinton County Drain Commissioner ever was to abandon the property.
Okay. Maybe, Ray, you can sort that out.
If I may.
Sure. Go right ahead.
You want to go ahead?
Yes, please.
Ray Cotti, Park Lake Road, concerned individual about this. There's
one way to put it.
very, very strict difference between abandonment and deeding.
Yes.
And Karen would be the one that would work with Phil and his legal group to determine, it'd be just like as if we purchased that property from the town, from the county. In fact, that would be what we'd be doing. Whether it be for $1 or, since there are no, stated assessed values of such on that property on Fetch GIS, I didn't know what to bring that up with, but I did provide Taylor, hopefully, with some photos that would help you guys on that zip drive I gave her. But in regards to the drain easement, the drain commissioner's easement for the water control structure and the berm, if you will, which is the water control structure, one of the photos, in fact, it's probably the one that you have your cursor on right now. Ironically. That, exactly.
Yes, that's the one.
Pick that one right out. That is the parcel, right there, okay? And I mentioned to you at last meeting that many of you don't even realize that that parcel is literally 99% underwater. And that was by design. They literally raised the road, which is Webster Road, the one that was to be thought about being abandoned. They raised that 4 feet to act as an actual dam to prevent the lake from exceeding that. And this includes this here as well. And with a controlled outlet right here at the water control structure. So when the legal lake limit of 845 feet above sea level was reached,
Right.
just by virtue of gravity, the lake itself would empty the excess water into the Ramey Chandler drain that goes under the road there. So that right there is the property that Phil, and we had talked about this back in 2014.
Right.
Phil and I did about the county possibly deeding that over to the township for the very purpose of continuity of the entire parcel being part of a DNR trust fund grant. And probably the DNR would like to see it all be owned by Bath Township for the purposes of the grant.
I know this picture, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
Are you sure?
Yep, absolutely.
It
Trustee
sounded
Fiedler
like the
Bliss.
drain commissioner said that this is a decision that needs to be made by the county commission. Have you or he talked to any of them?
What he has spoken verbatim about this is that he was happy to have he and his legal team take that to the Board of Commissioners and recommend that it be deeded to the township. And again, I want to emphasize that Karen and I have talked about that in the past, is when the township is granted easements or property, if you will, there has to be, a monetary amount affixed to that
Right.
and a legal deeding over of the property to the township, so.
So it sounds like if we were to choose option 2, there's still some waiting for the commission to
And the option
move.
2 is what?
Transfer the property to Bath Township
Right.
and the drain commissioner maintains an easement.
Yeah, in fact, by state law, the Drain Commission has the easement by default to maintain the water control structure and the berm.
Just to clarify, if we voted on 2, it doesn't mean that we're automatically getting the
No,
land,
no, it
right?
does
Because they
not.
have to take action,
Yep.
okay.
And it was his professional opinion that they wouldn't have a problem deeding that to the township. And there was no cost, again, I don't know if Karen is privy to some information that maybe that he shared, but I didn't hear of anything of any cost or anything. And usually when something of that nature is done, it's usually for $1, It's kind of like when you get divorced and you give your house to your ex. Don't ask me how I know that.
We won't get into the personal issues.
Yeah.
All right, from your graph that you have, or your picture that you have, where does O'Boyle's property fit into this, so that we
Okay,
don't
this-
face that later on?
This, I want to emphasize, has absolutely nothing whatsoever to
That's-
do with O'Boyle. This right here, just for edification.
Yep.
This property and that property is O'Boyle's, okay?
But for him to get to Ann Street, for example, he would have to go into township
No.
area, if that's
His driveway
deeded.
is literally right there.
That's correct.
That's his driveway. He
Yep,
goes-
now you want to go to Ann Street, you want to go north.
Well, he gets on Webster Road and goes wherever he wants.
Well, that's my question, so, but where your red lines are showing, it's showing that,
Well, that's the red line from Fetch GIS. Actually, that line is just, and it's not legal, but it's a superimposed, and actually it's a little bit to the right.
right,
of the
so it'd
pavement
go
proper.
east.
It goes directly along the pavement, and there's about maybe a foot. If you look at the actual survey marks, and you do a line from that X, or that corner up there down to here, it goes right about where there's a fire hydrant right there. And so this corner would actually be right over here. So there would be no bearing whatsoever on O'Boyle. Now, Tierney, his
That's not
property is right
true.
here.
Wait, let's go back to O'Boyle, because as I'm looking at that, I'm not real sure what you're saying is that that's absolutely no,
That their surveys are off.
it is really off.
The
They-
survey-
they're-
Yeah, it's really
excuse me,
off.
The surveys are not off. Fetch GIS superimpose red lines to illustrate where the property lines are not legal. They're just from a satellite,
Exactly.
Well, we usually indicate they're 10 to 15 feet, give or
Right.
take.
All right, so
Exactly.
he could drive his car on Webster Road, because that continues in, all the way north to
That's
Ann
public
Street.
road.
Okay, so if he were to come to the township and say, I want 20 feet, because,
He wouldn't come to the township,
We-
he would go to the county.
no, we own it. They've given it to us.
Oh,
They-
you're talking
they did-
when and
yeah,
if we
in-
get that
in the-
property.
In the future.
Okay.
When they deed it to us, then we're responsible for it. So O'Boyle's property, in order to go north to Ann Street, he would have to, you're saying no, because that's not correct.
I'm
See,
just
we're-
saying,
Because there's a road
O'Boyle has no dog in this fight at all. I mean, there's nothing.
At this
to-
stage, that's absolutely correct.
No, at any
I'm-
stage. All it does, literally, his property abuts that red line. That's the property line between O'Boyle and that present county property.
And he's asking for a private road.
Well, that's Just divorce yourself from that. That's, has nothing whatsoever to do with this.
But you have to look at that in the future,
No.
because if it comes to us,
Al,
How old is your picture?
that picture was taken when I was sitting right there about 15 minutes ago.
So where's the Blacktop Road?
The Blacktop Road is
And
literally
it's way up
underneath
there.
that red line, right there. When they put the new berm in.
It
in
looks
2000
nothing like the road
No.
right there.
What do you mean?
I've been
If
down that
that's-
road, I've looked at the dam.
exactly.
The road is straight.
Underneath the red line.
That's
Your road is crooked on that
It's
picture.
underneath the red line.
And that's
Can't
why
see
I'm
the road
asking,
'cause it's
No,
under the
that's
red line.
when the picture
true.
was taken.
I just
No,
took that off
the red
Fetch
line is
GIS.
not the road. That's the
That's
question.
off the satellite that
Oh, it
Fetch
is the
GIS
road,
uses.
Marie.
The road's underneath the red line.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
The satellite picture was taken in 2022, probably, and I could get the exact date off the timestamp.
So
But
you're
that's,
saying the Blacktop Road was in this picture?
oh heavens, yes. That Blacktop Road was put in 2014.
That's why we asked the assessor to not use these maps. They're not accurate.
Yeah,
No,
these are just,
not accurate.
you
Yeah,
know,
I've seen the
for
stakes
eyeball.
out there, that was, the last two surveys or surveyors have done. And,
there's another, I have another slide on there, Taylor.
okay.
That incidentally, we have paid for these surveys. It'll say, Spicer preliminary, October 2012. These surveys were taken in 2012 of the property and of the paved road, as you say. And these are all, legally filed documents that can be called on. There would be irons, what are called irons, where they
Right.
put on
There
these
should be.
quadrants for all the surveys.
It should be.
Literally, all you need to do, and I would lend you my, sorry,
It's a bad, I have that.
I would lend you my metal detector to go find the
got one of
irons.
those.
But, yeah, there would be irons that are marked under the ground, right at each one of those quadrants. And I illustrated that in red, I did that personally, so that you could see, and this is kind of askew because it's really long, to show you the entire roadway that was Webster Road, newly paved when they did the water control structure. That delineated parcel up there is the parking lot for the trailhead. And then if you can't see it right now in here, but if any of you download this and blow it up, you can actually see the verbiage in there that tells you where that survey that was done recently by Engineering, or ING Inc. That's right there. The water control structure is right there. And literally, to solve the property dispute, if you will, that you were all down there talking to Ken Tierney about.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, we can make it a public hearing. Why not?
Ray, what are you hoping to accomplish by having this property?
Put it
in the
down.
township?
Put it down, so you got it, public hearing. I'm
Ray,
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
What do you want me to do?
What I'm trying to
Put it
do is
down,
just,
public hearing. Marie made a
me
mistake.
personally, I'm
So
trying
go
to
ahead.
You want me to write that down?
further our
course, that's what
progress
you were gonna
on the
do.
Park Lake Trail.
I was
To
just
do
looking
what,
at my
to do
packet.
what we,
basically, we would not
Whatever.
have to have permission.
Oh, my
from the
goodness.
county to cross that
Must be getting
property.
late in the night.
we do not at this present time, no.
So what is the purpose of deeding this to the township?
Continuity
See, that's-
for the purposes of a DNR trust fund grant. Incidentally, this parcel right here that was filled in for the purposes of the trailhead and the berm, the trailhead along the berm, which is 10 feet wide, and there's a picture of that in there too somewhere. We personally paid $167,000 for those improvements. And those can be utilized for the DNR trust fund grant.
That's correct.
Okay.
You know which one it
You want me to just-
How about Park Lake Preserve? You wanna try that one?
Try that, that'll work.
See, in my no, that's not it. In my computer, I have icons that show me. Well, as long as we're on that, you can go back to that if you want. That is, incidentally, Karen, this is germane to you. I put that up there intentionally. Oh, you're looking over there, good. I was wondering why you had your back to me.
Because my progressives don't help me that far.
Right. I remember when we were talking about your meeting back there with Ken Tierney, that you saw the riprap on the water control structure, and you had stated that he mentioned that that was his property or something. It was, that's just a paraphrase of what you had mentioned, but literally, this is the legal description on both Ken Tierney's legal deed and on the county legal deed, is that the property line literally goes down the center of that land bridge. And so if you're standing on that road in the center like this, you have 1 foot on Ken Tierney's property, 1 foot on the county property. So if we get that county property, then we'd have literally, right to the center line of that bridge, and just by default with a right-of-way legal, what did you say, Joe, 60 feet, or is it 40 feet?
Well, it has to be 66 feet wide
33
for a
feet from the
Yeah.
public road, but this easement that's been discussed is 90.
Yeah, well, now that's for the berm, that's for the water control structure, and that's 80, actually.
Okay.
On that big survey. But, and I don't have it again here, Taylor, I'm sorry. If you could put that list up again. I may have done it on, okay, the Tierney description and the Clinton County, if you'll notice, I've highlighted where it says to center of roadway. These are both on the deeds, so if and when we gain deedship, I'll say, to that county property, I really think it's important that you have the verbiage state verbatim that we have the right of the roadway.
Yes,
The right of way, if you will.
because drain commissioner won't always be there.
Correct.
And that makes sense,
And that would just solve everything.
sure.
The
Well,
bone of dissension that we have right now.
if in fact
What?
Yeah, but solve the issue.
It would put it in writing and
from one drain commissioner to the next, in other words, that, all right, so when you discuss that you're putting that in and it makes it better for us, where does the trail fall into this? I mean, it's
Okay.
one thing for us to own that land, which I don't know what you do with it.
Taylor, one up from your, that
Okay.
one again, please. The trail was, if you notice this, see this land right here to the right of that red line?
Yes,
That was explicitly built, and it stated in the documents that that was expressly paid for by Bath Township for the
Okay.
purposes of a trail. And it's about 10 or 12 feet wide from Patrick O'Boyle's property line to the water. And it's built up 4
his
feet of.
property line would be up there at the top.
No, his property line is to the left of this.
Oh, you're not talking about his other property.
Well, that's immaterial, yeah, but up there, yes, the same. He owns that property up there
Correct.
and this property here.
So it would be from his property line down, whatever his property line
Yeah.
is, okay.
If you've ever seen that sign back there that says no trespassing private
Yes, I
drive.
have.
That sign is literally on the property line, his property line.
So you're thinking if the township owns it, then that makes for a better relationship with O'Boyle's and Tierney? Is that what you're, okay,
I can't answer that. The only way
Well-
we'd answer that is if O'Boyle was here. But anyway, in regards to the trail as it stands now, what we want to do basically, I say we, the people that are
Sure.
positive for the trail, merely want access over that land bridge to township property that's here.
will that be written out?
It can be.
No, that's what I'm saying, I'm asking
And
the
incidentally,
superintendent, if that can be part of the contract.
this entire area here is township property.
Right,
This specific parcel right here is actually incorrect here as well. It states on the description of this property, a right-of-way 40 feet wide following a present road. So this little point right there should be right there.
right there,
Where the road is,
Yeah.
just like that. And so if you, copied that verbiage, it would be instrumental.
so would you need two contracts or one contract?
Just one.
Not guaranteeing that the township would take that easement and use it for a trail.
Well, that
Isn't
would be
that-
the very purpose of the,
Okay,
but I mean, once you have the purpose of gaining ownership, if you will, of that parcel. Karen?
Can you, I was looking here and
Yep.
didn't see you. You said that point on the map should be where?
This
Down
point
further
right here
point.
Yes, should be
should be
down the
right
end.
there exactly
Right.
where that point
Okay,
is.
thank you.
And if you go into Fetch GIS, you're very familiar with that, aren't you? Go into Fetch GIS and read the description of that
That
parcel, and you would, it talks about you have right-of-way on a present road, proposed Park Key Drive,
Okay,
and but it's a 40-foot easement, 20 feet on each side of the center line,
okay.
which is very unorthodox. As Joe and I were talking, it's usually 60 feet.
66.
Yeah,
66, 33, and
that's the
33 from
width of the
center.
road.
But I think it was because that road was so narrow, they
Yeah.
made it down to 40.
Well, back in them days, a lot of them roads weren't 66 foot.
Right, they were really narrow.
All them over around where I live some of them are 12 and some are 15
And
feet wide.
if I could, in regards to the abandonment, if you will, that would have nothing to do with this because.
Well, that was done about the same time.
Actually, it was done before that, but this line right here is your ENG survey line, and it just continues down here past Ken Terme's 200-year-old oak tree that he was talking about and all of that. That has nothing to do with this right here, and it would probably solve everything. Because, everything would be in black and white.
Just one more quick question.
Yep.
What advantage would that be then for the Park Lake Trail?
It would actually be on township property.
Oh, that's the only advantage then?
Well, it's
That-
not the only advantage, but that is the paramount advantage,
Okay,
yeah,
that-
primary advantage.
That you could come at any time to this board until 2024 of November and request that be given to the Park Lake, Friends of Park Lake, for a trail?
Not Friends of Park Lake, it's a township, it would be a township
No,
park.
what
and-
I'm saying to you is,
Trail.
what's the guarantee that you will have a trail there? There is no guarantee.
Well, that
correct?
was,
Okay.
see, now I'm assuming that the reason we spent $166,000 and it's in writing on the contract by the county stating that this was made and built up for the purposes of a non-motorized trail, as was this 12-foot wide shoulder.
Rick, can we clarify something?
Yep.
That $167,000 was not to build a road to the trail. It was our portion for the township to pay because of the property that we own on that road. Is that correct?
That's not the way I understand it.
That was in
Okay.
addition to what we were charged.
It was an addition. The additional $166,881.90 was, quote, "a Bath Township supplemental contribution to water control structure project for the purposes of creating a parking lot, trailhead, and non-motorized trail improvements adjacent to water control structure during project construction."
Okay.
Okay, that's exactly what the contract says.
Okay, so the purpose for us, obviously, for accepting the land, number two, I think is what you were talking about, then it would be, there's no guarantee, it just says township owns it.
Well, the township owns it, and you could do ideally what that was put in there for, yeah. I mean, you could be nefarious and say, we're not having a trail, we've just decided to, circle, what do you call it?
The wagons.
Circular file. But, I'm
Oh,
going on the.
File 13.
On the notable assumption that we've worked all this time as a township and invested all this money to have this trail, and that's why I'm exhausting my brains here to try to get this all legally just,
No, I understand, I'm just, okay, nope,
Al?
that's appreciated.
I thought the berm was put in there to keep the water in the lake.
It was.
So it wasn't exactly to build a road. It was to build the edge so the water wouldn't run out of the lake when you raised it 18 inches.
Actually, it had to have a road on the top for those two private landowners back there, because in order to make this water control structure of Webster Road, we literally had to grind up their driveway, well, their road that goes to their driveway, you know? Like, I live on Park Lake Road, it'd be like them grinding up Park Lake Road and not putting it back in. How would I get to my house? You know, that would be impossible. So, in that whole structure there was built for the purposes of, yes, holding the lake back, but also a quasi move in regards to improving their access to their property, gaining access to Park Lakes, or that Township's property, and to create a non-motorized trail, backbone, if you will.
I got one more question. This don't pertain to that. I understand by rumors that one of the boards was taken out of the dam, is that right?
No.
To let the water level down?
Where did you hear that from?
I'm not saying who I heard it
Well, that's well, I mean, the only person legally allowed to mess with the stop logs
is the county,
is the Drain
drain
Commission,
commissioner, right.
period.
And you're saying he didn't take one out?
I can't say that.
Why don't you just call him and ask him?
They're not locked or anything, so
That's-
anybody could literally go back there and pull one out.
Exactly. That's-
Marie,
Yes.
I can
Oh,
help
I'm
you with
sorry.
that. You heard that from me, and I was told that at the Park Lake Advisory Board meeting last week, that the drain commissioner had taken a board
Oh, he
out
did
to
take a board out?
lower the lake level faster.
Yeah, it was going,
His
we were
office
over
did that.
legal lake limit, which is
Yeah.
865, or 864 point blah, blah, blah. But some homeowners around the lake really complain when it gets above that, and
When
it
it
can
gets
get
higher,
above that,
it
because
does.
that water can only go out so many gallons per second,
Right.
you know, into that little 24-inch culvert. If you ever go over there, I urge you all to go over and look at that, but when that lake level's up and that water's going over that water control structure, I tell you what, it's all that little culvert can do to get rid of all that water. So I'm wondering, you know, what happens if the lake level goes up another foot or 2 foot? Where's all that water gonna go, you know? They could take all the stop lugs out in that culvert, you know, you can only get so much water through a culvert 24 inches in diameter. So, anyway, that's neither here nor there, but, I wanna say that I have a virtual cornucopia of legal information that I've gleaned. It's kind of my hobby. And I am a licensed LLC, and I also have a consulting contract available. And I would be happy to do all this for free and turn it all over to the superintendent for her final judgment. If you ever decide you need some information and don't have the person power to dig it up.
I still have the question of going back to O'Boyle. How does he get from the end of his driveway to Ann Street? Or
In his car.
to-
That's the only way he's gonna do it.
Thank you, Ray. I'm sure that's incredibly helpful.
Just jump in his car and go.
So
Yeah.
it is a right-of-way.
It is a
that-
right-of-way.
That he has from his driveway
It's Webster.
all the way up to
Correct.
Webster. Okay.
Presently.
That's,
And-
no one ever said right away, so thank you.
Well, it's our,
That's-
I'm sorry, yeah, that's what it is. And what I would suggest on that, as a, I wanna use the term half-ass professional. Just to not do anything in regards to that abandonment, just leave it like it is. It's just fine, it's been working this way for 60 years, 70 years. Except that when I was a kid, the road used to go right there, right where those trees are. And he moved it, when he built his house in 1992, he literally moved the road down here. So anyway, that's where the road used to be, right on the lot line. And that's how it's surveyed. But, you know, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just refer to the deed and you'll see where that is.
Okay.
Karen,
No,
did you have a
that-
question?
That helps.
Do you still like me? Okay, any other questions? And again, I
sit too
want to
close.
emphasize that I have more legal research documents than you can shake a stick at on this subject, so.
No, it's just the idea of if the township owns it, what happens to the two owners of the property.
Absolutely not.
If we, and that's, when you say absolutely not, I don't, if they're gonna come back
Business as usual is what I would say.
and come back and start asking questions, that's my question.
That's what the drain commissioner told us when he stood over here,
Yes, he did.
that it
That
would
was
not
very-
affect them people.
He
And
said,
that's what he said.
no, I understand that, but that doesn't mean they understand that.
And
I-
I want
I-
to, I want to also emphasize that irrespective of your decision on what to do with this property, the Drain Commission still retains legal authority for an easement.
Right.
By Michigan law.
By Michigan law.
Yeah,
Got it.
there's nothing you guys can do about that.
Right.
So even if you own the property, he still has that right. So, anyway, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. It's appreciated. All right, do you have a motion? Oh,
Statement.
I'm sorry.
He
Go ahead,
also
trustee.
told us that if that berm dropped, because underneath is not.
Literally
supporting-
dropped.
Literally dropped.
Okay,
The county is responsible for coming in and raising it back up,
Yes.
even if we own it.
even if we own it. It's still theirs.
They need access to the dam.
It's
How-
the easement portion of
they-
it.
Well, you're talking about the easement, or are you talking about the whole berm? I mean,
Berm, which is the easement,
right,
which is
That's-
the easement we're giving them.
no, that's.
They
he
have to
wants
get to
keep
the,
it.
they have to get to the dam,
Yes.
so they have an easement. They have to maintain that to get their trucks there.
Right.
To take care of the water structure.
Correct.
They have to,
No,
always.
it's the other property that I am kind of looking at and trying to figure out, because if they can go ahead and deed us just the easement, I understand that, but you're talking a lot of land. That's, I mean, I don't know what we're gonna do
We're
with that.
talking
5
80
acres,
80 foot, the rest underwater, three-quarters of it.
You're just changing ownership of the parcel, is all you're doing.
okay, nope, I got it. So, oh, I'm sorry, trustee Feedwin Bliss, go ahead.
I would move that the board instruct the superintendent to send a letter to the drain commissioner saying that we would prefer option 2 to transfer the county property to the Bath Township, maintaining an easement for the drain commissioner.
Second. You got it.
All right, you guys, which
I
one?
would.
Kellerman's gonna take it, so.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes,
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes,
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes,
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you.
as painful as it was, that helped. So sorry about that.
I hope I helped you.
All right, we're on 14, new business. It says items for discussion and introduction, or introduction discussion. I think that's the superintendent dealing with ARPA.
Thank you. We received the attached letter that's in your packet from the Planning Commission to the Board of Trustees. There were over, I believe, 2 meetings, significant discussion about this topic, and those are available to be watched on the Township's YouTube channel. A matter of fact, I visited one of those today just to brush up on this. I know that Trustee Funes Bliss was there for those discussions, so I would, hopefully you can jump in and help us at any time. But I believe the Planning Commission would like us to review the document that they have submitted to us and provide some feedback to them, so they can undertake any additional research and discussion in order to prioritize the allocation of ARPA funds.
I have a quick question before you do that. How much are you going to allocate to them? The full dollar amount, or is there?
That's not my decision. That would be
Oh,
the
all
decision
right.
of, that's,
Because
this
the
board would have to
allocation-
determine how much is gonna be allocated in
Okay.
ARPA funds. And to what projects, whether you agree or don't
No, I
agree with this.
understand that, but I just didn't know if we're using the full.
I don't know if everybody else understood, but I was completely confused by the broadband service. Where was it? Our maps? What area? How many people? It was completely confusing to me as the person who was presenting it. We didn't understand which road, south of Center, Clark. How many people?
In listening to that conversation, and I hope you'll jump in, it appeared to me as though the Planning Commission was frustrated with the Clinton County broadband project and the discussion that was had about it, and that it served no people in Bath Township. So I think this, and I would dare say, is to do something in addition to what the county is saying that they're going to do.
But do we know what? Does anybody know, understand which houses? Am I getting it? You getting it? Does anybody understand? I'm the only
According
one?
to the map, it's, there's not
See,
anything served in
And
Bath
I
Township.
didn't come away with the same,
I didn't see a map.
Well, he didn't bring one.
no,
He didn't bring one.
He didn't bring one
Right.
to put up
Didn't
on the
bring-
screen. He didn't
Yeah.
have any of that
We didn't have any
information.
information we needed to make a
He
decision.
had indicated that prior to the submission of the Robin Grant, we were not included, and that the numbers
Right.
changed after the submission of the Robin Grant to include us.
I was gonna say, we are.
Who?
Us, Bath
We
Township.
are included, well, and that's what I understood, is that we were included, so maybe.
But I don't know how many houses, I don't know how, where, I don't know.
So it's kind of something we can't even, I can't even think about it because
Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking about. To me,
They're not
I,
done.
they didn't do a job that provided me with any information that I could even think about.
Right.
Ryan has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Karen is right. The intention in this, Sherry, is not that we would fund a county effort, but that we would invest our township money in our township residents.
But you still don't know.
Including ARPA funds or what? how
This is
does-
all for ARPA funds. The whole proposal here is suggesting how we as a board might want to invest the ARPA funds.
Yeah.
You can put it all in one, or you can divide it up into a couple of them. You don't have to do them all.
Wait, but I understood, now maybe I
It's so important.
misunderstood.
Roads.
You talked about staff was going to put together, it was all these different departments that were gonna come together with ideas for the ARPA fund?
I've
Is
had,
the
no.
Planning Commission the only one that's gonna submit?
I think
Okay.
you're crossing the,
Okay, that's what I need
the,
to,
the plan, the strategic planning with the ARPA planning.
no. You said the ARPA was going to bring in all, that they're working on them, and that those would be submitted. Yeah, I didn't, okay. No,
I mean, the only one that I'm aware of,
So now
is, there's
you're
a.
saying the Planning Commission is the only one that's dealing with the ARPA
No,
funds?
so the planning
Okay.
commission, this was their recommendation
Correct.
to this group. There's a proposal on the agenda tonight that you'll hear from the police department, and I've also received from the police department a premium pay request from them, but that's not ready to be brought to the board yet. So yes, there are other requests, but not every department is gonna put together a request for ARPA dollars.
Oh, okay, so that clarifies that. Okay, so this is the primary roadmap that we're looking at from Planning Commission, is that correct?
I think what I'm
Maybe you can
hearing you
help.
say is that there's two different things happening. The strategic planning conversation and the ARPA conversation, is that right?
Correct, but not all departments will submit for ARPA
That's
dollars.
the strategic planning conversation, right?
Correct.
They will submit to you their plan that you will prepare
Yes,
for us.
but then there's
Separate from that
ARPA.
are the ARPA
ARPA,
dollars.
and
Correct.
that's the part, the ARPA is the part that I guess I'm looking at. The Planning Commission has listed a lot of things, which of course the sidewalks, that's always an interesting one, which I later on have that. So in dealing with that, when they put the sidewalk in, or the sidewalk discussion, that also goes with the sidewalks in Bath Charter Township that I'm having. So there's two separate discussions going on about sidewalks. Does that make sense? Okay. So in that, I guess I have to ask, when this states in their sidewalk, that all sidewalks, that means every single sidewalk that's in Bath Township, with it is currently in poor condition, so we have no sidewalks that are good. And in order to provide a clean slate, the term that they're using, would be individuals would take care of their sidewalks, and that would be their responsibility. But ARPA funds would come in, if I'm understanding, to help you out with this, if this is what is being said by this board, that they would come in, if the sidewalk was chosen, then they would create all sidewalks in Bath Township? Is that, okay, help me out.
The idea is there would be an evaluation of all sidewalks in the township and a determination for which ones need to be repaired. The township would use federal ARPA funds to get them up to repair and then provide a clean slate moving forward that we would start to enforce the ordinance that says that homeowners need to take care of the sidewalks themselves. So it provides an opportunity where we have not been enforcing the ordinance for, I don't know,
That's-
what, decades?
When we've had complaints in the last year, when we've gone back to homeowners and they actually have in fact fixed their sidewalk.
Well, the feedback the board has gotten over the years has been that we were not enforcing that. So in this case, it would be to sort of provide some support financially for folks who would be surprised by a bill because it has not been enforced, to pay for that. And then starting then, moving forward, we would start to enforce the ordinance more universally. And it sounds like maybe we are headed in that direction already.
So is that by complaint only, or is that?
It's complaint driven, you're
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. All right, but that doesn't, that's not, what you explained is a good explanation for what it's being said, but this was not in the writing.
This isn't
So-
meant to be,
Okay.
like projects. It's meant to be high-level categories. Suggestions that the
So-
planning commission thinks that as we start to talk about the funds, because we've got to appropriate them by next year, these
Yes.
are the things they think we should invest in.
Okay,
I think if you picked any one of these, you could spend the entire amount.
you certainly could, that's why I'm
I
asking.
didn't mean to laugh, but
That-
I.
no, that's
But
why
even
I'm-
we've
I'm-
talked about the security of people walking around Park Lake. There's been an idea generated that if you connected from the beach to the boat launch area where, near Wiswasser Park, you could spend this money as well. So I think sewer repairs and maintenance. Any of these things could eat up that $1.3 million fairly quickly.
Well, that's what I guess I'm asking. So what what the planning commission is looking for is not necessarily the total, these are just concepts that could include the 1.3 million that we have. Okay,
Or suggestions to us as we deliberate from a committee on where they think that investment should go.
okay. So what, my suggestion, and this is always what I do at home, I start with the least and work my way up to the best. So whatever you guys want to do, I guess that's what we're looking for, correct? You're looking for recommendations?
The planning commission is not looking for recommendations, no. This was meant to guide our conversation at the board level. If there are things that you want the planning commission to help prepare, if there are ideas that the board likes more than others that are appropriate for the planning commission to manage, I think they'd be happy to do that. This is just sort of helpful to get the conversation rolling.
The planning commission has nothing to do with roads, right? In
That's
other
right.
words, the road committee makes a determination.
Right.
So this says recommended use, and this is what the planning commission came down with. So that's what I guess I'm saying. You'll look at this list, and my way of doing things is starting with the least and working my way up. But
I'm not sure I follow the least what?
what, the least important,
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
thank you.
So-
This was in no order.
this was in no order.
Right.
To the best of my knowledge, this was in
No, I'm
order.
telling you specifically,
Yeah.
we agreed that it would be in no order. We didn't take any, formal vote on where to rank them.
Right.
I think when I look at this, initially when I looked at it from a master plan perspective, they're looking at economic development. And so I think some of these things like roads, sewer infrastructure, broadband are things that would aid Bath Township in economic development if that was its goal.
Strategic planning.
Okay, no, that doesn't change a whole lot. So I guess committee has to look at this, or do you want to think about it?
It's just discussion.
It's just
I
discussion.
realize it's just discussion. I understand that.
Just discussion.
So there is no issue here that you look at one or the other better than any. So this is really for your thought process. Okay. Nope, got it.
I would hope, Marie, that when we start to talk about how to use the ARPA funds, that we would pull, whether it's this or other suggestions we get from the community or other committees, to help us influence or to help influence us on how to use them.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. I'm not sure that, and again, I'm going to go back to other committees besides the Planning Commission that would come up with some ideas, or anyone that's here that would come up with ideas, or anyone who's out there would come up with ideas, because that usually is the better way to do it. All right, so introduction and discussion. I appreciate that, so thank you. If anybody wants to, oh,
One more question.
no, go ahead.
Is there, we've got this cameras for body cams.
That's the next, yes.
Could this be part of ARPA funds?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why not?
So there could be more
Yes.
things than what's on this.
Well, again, that's coming up. That's,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, that's our next discussion.
Yep.
You've been patient, you guys back there. Very patient instead of going like this. I see that quite often, so. All right, so we're gonna be on B 14. Actually, it's a large A. Police Department in-car body cam proposal.
So what we have before you is obviously what it says, in-car and body cam proposal. I'm going to let Sergeant Mardigan speak the most of it. He did the research for our department, and I'm going forward with some of this stuff. And if you have any questions after, I'd be happy to answer.
Appreciate that.
Speak into the microphone,
Yeah, I think-
guys. We'll hear you better.
I'm Matt Marty. I'm a sergeant with Bath Township. I've been a sergeant for 11 years and a police officer for 21 here. Thank you for considering our proposal. What I want to kind of get across to you right now is that this proposal is vitally important to our current and future function of our police department. In the world we live in today, if a picture speaks, 1,000 words, and a video will speak a million. And
How true that is.
Excuse me?
I said how true that is.
Yes, yes.
You are absolutely right.
And in order for us to get a criminal complaint to be even seen by the prosecutor's office, we have to have a video that accompanies it. So we can't function without having video documentation. And our in-car camera fleet is aging and is slated for replacement very soon. What we're looking to do is not just replace what we currently have, but upgrade it. And what that upgrade is going to do is it's going to allow officers and staff to focus on what's important, and that's taking care of the community. Currently, with our aging hardware and software, we're spending a lot of man hours just to produce a CD. And that CD has to be hand-delivered to the prosecutor, okay? With new hardware and software, it's gonna allow us to enter a digital world where everything's gonna be uploaded to the cloud and be able to share via the cloud. So instead of hand-delivering a CD or a DVD to the prosecutor's office, we can just send them a link and they'll immediately get it. If we have an incident that occurs in the township, most of you, I think, either have heard of or currently have some sort of video surveillance at their house, a Ring doorbell camera. And occasionally, if you were a victim of a crime or you were witness to something and we needed that video footage, we would have to figure out a way to get it to us and then get that to the prosecutor's office. With new software, we would be able to just send you a link, you would upload it to there, and then it would automatically go into a file. Now, if Chief Smith and I were on a complaint, we both had our body cams on. With our current hardware, we would have to search for each individual body cam, and if we had cars there, that dash cam, we'd have to download all that footage. With new software, all that's eliminated. We simply just tag that this is our report number, and it would automatically batch all that information into one package, And that package would be easily found and shared, not only with the prosecutor, but also victims, and then, you know, our office, and I think others are seeing an increase of Freedom of Information Act requests. And this would allow us to eliminate the manpower that it takes to get those Freedom of Information requests out, and share that information with them. Pretty much what I got right now. Absolutely.
I knew you'd say that. And that's greatly appreciated. I think this is a great idea, but there's always a but to it. But my question has to do with the last incident that was taking place with the how do I want to call it? It's a killing.
Suicide by cop.
Yeah, that's what some call it, whatever it is. It was downloaded and showed, it was very clear what was going on. So what is the difference between that video and a new video that you're looking at?
Well, just so I can understand what you're
Okay.
asking me, you're trying to ask me if we bought a new
Well,
camera.
it was
would that
very
be-
clear.
Would that be any different from the camera that we have right now?
It was very clear what was going on. The body cams worked, the voice worked, everything worked like it should. And that incident that took place was long before this ever came to fruition. So I guess I'm looking at this and thinking, could this wait until our budget time? Or is this something, it sounds like you would like to have it like yesterday.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, no, I appreciate anybody that can
So,
answer
sure.
it. No?
So the proposal in front of you, ma'am, is twofold. It's for body-worn cameras
Right,
and 5 in-car cameras. So we
Correct.
have 12 body-worn cameras. That's one of them. You see them broken down.
Right.
The other is the 5 in-car.
got it.
The body-worn
5 and 12.
cameras, as well as the in-car, all have a life expectancy. And we've reached that, we're getting close to that on our in-car cameras. But even before then, we kind of went with, I want to say the cheapest, not a high-quality system. And we've had problems with the in-car cameras consistently. So much so where the automatic download, when we pull, say, the officer goes out on the traffic stops, it records the incident, comes back, when he approaches the parking lot, it automatically is supposed to download the video to a server. Unfortunately, that doesn't work anymore. We tried to get it up and running, and our infrastructure just isn't there. So the new system, the proposal you have in front of you for the in-car, is to upload to the cloud. A big portion of the price you're looking at is redaction software. So right now, if we go out, 5 officers, have 5 squad cars, and you're out there for an hour, that's
Right.
5 hours of video
Correct.
that Christy Colby, our
That's correct.
staff, has to watch every one.
With at least
and redact
3.
everything, so it's legal with state, federal, and local laws. So, and that's just the in-car. And the same goes with, if there's 5 officers out there, they have 5 body cams rolling.
Right.
She has to do the same thing. And body cams are a lot different because cars are typically parked and they video one thing. Body cameras, you're walking into people's homes, you're seeing stuff that by law has to be redacted from FOIA requests. So a lot of the proposal you're seeing is for redaction software, automated redaction software.
Okay,
We can click a box on this new software, every computer screen will be blacked out. Click another box, every face will be blacked out. Click another box, your plate will be blacked out. It doesn't matter if it's 5 hours video, it automatically does it. So we don't have to pay somebody 5 hours for each video.
so the video that we were given had no,
Add 2 days worth of what you saw.
well, that's what I guess I was asking. So what we're saying, if you have an incident like that, because you didn't have one for Michigan State, you had one for the incident that took place, that seemed to be a very clear,
Absolutely did.
Very-
It worked,
the-
that video.
it did.
Worked on that day. The problem we're having is
Okay.
our car videos are not working consistently. And you don't
Okay.
know that until you go to search the video for a prosecution case. And that's the problem we're running into now. It's just not there. Or if it's not there, it doesn't have audio because audio didn't work today. The only thing worse than not having a video is having video and having it not work and have to explain to the judge or the jury why
Sure.
you don't have video or you don't have audio of their client saying something. That's why we're here today. Same with body cams. Body cams they've reached their life expectancy. I think we're on about 3 years with them. They have about a 2.5-year life expectancy. So the proposal you see in front of you, the Axon, a lot of the expense you're looking at, that's for 12 body-worn cameras. So at the beginning of the contract, they will send us 5 body-worn cameras, charging stations, all the software, all the redaction software. And then at 30 months, they have what's called a refresh in the contract. Means in 30 months, 2.5 years, because that's the life expectancy of them, they will send us 12 new body cameras. That's included in the price. At the end of the 5-year contract, they send you 12 more body cameras. Because we've already said they last about 2.5 years, then they start fading.
Both of these said that's what they would do?
No, that's Axon.
I was just gonna say that Axon is a new, Motorola I'm familiar with.
Yeah, Axon is
But
not new.
Ax-
Axon has been around for a long time.
Yeah,
They've
well,
had their products.
I've been out a long time, so, but
So
that
for the
was,
5 in-car for the Axon proposal, it's the same, 5 in the beginning, they install 5 new cameras, all the
Okay.
recording system in our cars. They're installers to it, which we really favor, because the last
Yes.
contract, we had private contractors do it and them, because there was argument back and forth, they wouldn't stand behind their product. So, in fact, the neighboring police department did a breach of contract with the same company, so.
okay.
So the 5 in-car, they started with 5 new ones, and at the end of 5 years, they did what's called a refresh. They come out with 5 new ones in your car. So a lot of what you're paying for is
The same cost, or for
it's
no
all
cost?
built into the cost you're seeing.
Okay,
There's no
because
additional
that's what I'm,
charges. That includes installation, that includes warranty, that includes license fees, everything you're seeing. So at the end of 5 years, if we wish to renew with this company,
okay,
the cost is gonna be substantially lower, because you're starting out with brand new equipment, their equipment.
okay, cool, thank you.
Currently, Eaton County, DeWitt City, DeWitt Township,
yeah.
East Lansing, and Lansing, I believe, all use Axon.
Yeah, I read.
Question why the state troops have Motorola instead of Axon. Do you have any idea? I mean,
I don't believe they have them yet, but that's what they're going with.
They've always had Motorola.
As you know,
Their radios.
Motorola is a big, like in
Okay.
police and fire.
Right.
so it fits with their radios. Okay,
They
I'm just curious, that's the only thing that hit me.
Motorola bought out WatchGuard, so Motorola's never been in this market. So they bought out a different company, and they're trying to get into it now, so.
Can you explain why Axon would be your preferred vendor over Motorola?
I think he just did.
So.
No,
Well,
but in addition
In
to,
addition to all the neighboring agencies around us use it. Okay, so oftentimes, as you know, our department is small, so when we go to a call, typically on Chandler Road, DeWitt Township backs us up, they have Axon. They give us a passcode so we can go in and look at their video. And the redaction software works across borders, so if we download their video from our incident, the redaction software will work. And the Axon has an upgraded redaction software that's mostly automated, as I said before. Because right now, I'm sure the township probably knows on their side, they get a lot of FOIA requests every week. We get a lot of FOIA requests every week. And
not a bad thing.
nowadays, with everybody wearing a body camera in every car,
Yeah.
there's a lot of video and a lot of audio, and it all has to be listened to and redacted. So anytime you can do anything automated, you're saving personnel hours.
That's why it's a really good thing to, go ahead. 'cause
I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna have a question.
The other question I had was, are you concerned, because it says here 8 weeks to 8 months, depending on the vendor. So if we choose Axon, how long before they can deliver product?
So originally, when we met with Axon, they said 12 months out.
Yeah.
We can't get you the stuff for 12 months. And I said, well, for in-car. We can get you the body-worn camera now, but we can't get you the in-car. I said, well, that's a problem, because our stuff's failing now. We can't, if I could wait another year, I'd wait another year and come back to the board, but we can't. They've got that down to, in the contract, they will put in there deliveries to take place October 1st, and installation is to be completed by November 1st of this year, so they cut that down substantially.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I had to do with the budget. We can okay this now, but in your 2024 budget is what you'd be looking at, correct? Or are you looking at
In this time frame,
2023,
it would be in '23.
23, yeah.
even though you're not paid until, or installed until the end of '23, which our budget for '24 would be over at that time.
As long as it's installed by December 31st of 2023, it's
Okay.
considered a '23 expenditure.
That's,
Yeah. So under that timeline, if they were to deliver by October 1st and install by November 1st, we'd be
it
okay.
would still be in.
Yes.
Are you looking at this dollar amount to come out of the general fund?
I would recommend ARPA dollars, but it could also come out of the general fund. Actually, the police and, the police and fire, the public safety fund has, I'm sorry, I answered that incorrectly to you.
No,
The public
I just
safety
wondered.
fund has a fund balance, at the end of the year last year was
200 something?
200, which after this year's audit will be more.
Yeah. I knew that they had a fund balance.
I'm sorry, I answered,
no,
yeah, I went to general fund
I wondered
first
what
and
you
then I
said.
retracted.
Well, that was the way I asked it.
Yeah.
I think threw you off a little bit.
278,000, right?
I figured it was, but like you say, it'll be more than that with the interest.
Well, after this, the audit should be ready in the next month or so. They'll be reporting to you what was left over in the public safety fund as
Right.
of last year.
So that's where those dollars. You're lucky.
Any other questions I can answer?
Nope, that's what I was looking for, was where the dollars, and you did answer, because I thought it was a great idea. I just didn't understand why we had such a clear video, a short time ago, and Michigan State, we didn't have one, but now they're
were
not any
lucky.
good. That's what I was trying to work through.
Sometimes they don't work sometimes.
Just to speak to the video you saw,
Can't have
2
that.
days worth of work with Sergeant Martin and I.
That's-
And also Taylor putting that together. She
That's
was-
what you said,
She
so,
was phenomenal. So,
okay, nope.
thank you.
Thank you for the information. Greatly appreciated.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Are
yes.
you going to bring this back to us at the next meeting?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Yeah, because this is an introduction.
That's correct.
Right. Okay, we have, are you back there? You're usually the tallest one in the room, so with you sitting down, and now you have facial hair, so that's not, you have to introduce yourself.
Good evening, Board. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Kevin Douglas. I'm the Assistant Fire Chief of the Township. So this evening, I'm coming to ask the Board for permission to apply to Granger Waste Services does a community development grant, or they'll do donations. A neighboring jurisdiction, the City of St. John's Fire Department, reached out to them earlier this year for donations for battery-powered extrication equipment. What we as the fire department would like to do is we would like to start a drone program. This is something that we think could be very beneficial, not only to us here in Bath Township, but throughout Clinton County. There's currently, the only drone I know of in our county is through the Sheriff's Department and through emergency management. So this would give one for public safety in the south end, that could be used between, police, fire, EMS. We obviously have quite a large amount of Rose Lake in our area. There's all sorts of different scenarios we could use this for. We see it seen quite a bit on the west side of the state. There's a couple
Right.
departments that have them, and they use them a lot for
do.
structure fires and things of that nature.
Yeah.
That's what our thought is. Within the last month, we brought down, the Sheriff's Department brought their drone. We used it for an 8-acre brush fire we had on Upton Road. We were able to use it to see where we had fire still. We would like to try and get one with thermal capabilities, just for scenarios like that. That fire was very spread out, and I didn't have enough bodies at the time, so we were able to put the drone up and I could see where it had gotten, where we couldn't see. So, does anybody have any questions for me? Yes.
I just have one for, anybody else? I always, go ahead.
Can we rent this out to other areas too,
We-
where we have it?
If, everything goes our way and we get this, we will make it very known to our neighboring jurisdictions, that it's something we have. And we would be more than happy to bring it out to use for trainings or anything like that.
That was part of my question.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying at this point, now, I'm assuming the ASSU and me thing, that your chief is in favor of this?
Yes,
Okay.
Chief's in favor. This was a project I brought, that one of our firefighters had brought to me when I had worked on it some, and I brought it to our officers meeting, and I asked Chief his thoughts and if he was okay with me presenting it to the board.
Okay.
So that's why I'm here tonight.
Nope, that's appreciated, thank you. Actually, it doesn't sound like a bad, go ahead. I have one more question, but go ahead.
What's the due date on the grant?
So there is no due date, for Granger, it's whenever you apply the capacity.
Thanks.
The dollar amount that you're
Yes.
talking about, because it talks about your primary project cost being 5,000 to 7,000.
Yes.
Then inside, there's another figure that you bring up, and please don't ask me what page it is, I just.
So, in there, we talk about, the drone's could cost anywhere from $4,300 to about $6,300.
Okay,
There
that's
is-
what it was.
There's $700 that it would cost for us to have 4 members of the department become, FAA Part 107 certified, so that we could pilot the drone. The only really ongoing cost would be every 2 years when we have to renew, the Part 107 pilot, certificate or license. 'Cause we would
How
have
much
to-
is that
It's $150 a person,
Okay.
or $175 a person.
right now? Okay.
Correct.
And that's FFA? Or
FAA.
AA? Gotcha. That's the Farmers of America. No, I'm kidding. I just wanted to make sure I had it right. Okay. So basically, what you're looking at in the grant is not only the equipment, but also the training
Yep, to
that
cover
goes
the
with
training
it.
for our 4 members.
Okay. I think that's a no-brainer. Okay. Thank you, that's really appreciated. Now, will this come back? Okay. Nice job, Kevin, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one is 14, new business, items for discussion, D as in David. The Clinton County Lansing Economic Area Partnership. I have for you guys, up here for the trustees. The only purpose for bringing that was obviously there was a letter that was sent explaining to us through the county that they are belonging, here, we want to pass that? There's 3 down there, and then 3 here. That they in turn had elected to do it. What I'm passing out to the board at this point, and they're both the same, only one is doubled and the other is not, is very timely in the newspaper with the LEAP pushing development without regard to the community, just so you know, and then obviously building economic prosperity. So that's something that you need to look at and read and make a decision. He's asking, obviously, that we get in touch with their new person, which is, as you've read this in, Jacqueline Hutchinson. And I don't know if that's something that you're interested in looking at or talking to them, or whichever, excuse me. But that's information for you to look at. So that's all that was. It was solely information. Okay, now we are moving to sidewalks in Bath Township. And I'm going to ask that Rick Curtis, who chaired the DDA, would talk to us about that. So if you'd come up to the podium, it would be helpful.
Yeah.
And I know this is part of what the Planning Commission looked at for sidewalks. So this is just another side of that. Before you.
So in the last meeting, I had mentioned my opposition to paying to have a lawyer here at every meeting. And I used an example that we could replace 2,000 lineal feet of sidewalk each year with what we were paying to have an attorney here. And Ryan brought up a good point. We've got the money that we can do both, But really, that wasn't what my intention was. My point was that we need to start, this township needs to do something tangible. I mentioned that earlier in the comments. This township's getting quite the reputation of the board that can't get along. Well, let's all grab hands and finish something that I've been harping about for a while. I don't believe that you guys eliminated the DDA legally, but that's another issue. But you did make a promise, and I think all of you remember that who were on the board at the time. There have been 3 changes since then. You promised the public that the money that was taken as a TIF money, as tax increment financing from the area that it was come to, that it only seemed fair that it was, since it was earmarked for that, and then we got sidetracked by COVID and everything, the promise was to make improvements back into that DDA district. Do you remember that, Joe, don't you? You remember that, Joe?
You know, following your whole thing, but the board did commit to spending the DDA money in the DDA district.
Yeah.
It wasn't part of the resolution.
It wasn't put in writing, and that's one of the things
Okay,
I harped
but
about.
we did make the commitment to do that.
But it was a commitment, it was a promise. You remember that, Al?
Yep.
Marie?
Oh, yeah, I always knew that.
Ryan? Okay, so the legwork's been done. We've got the money. Jennifer told me that last week. It's in the DDA fund, which I was unaware of. I thought that it was just put in with the general fund. There's no allocation for it. Yes, go ahead.
There was an allocation for 20 grand towards architectural drawings, I believe for James Cousins Park,
Who did that?
this board.
Okay, well, how, yeah,
I mean, money hasn't been expended, but that was the only,
okay, well, there's still plenty there.
when the Hagermans came and
Oh, for
introduced
the,
their proposal for the museum,
That's not on township park property.
this group agreed to put $20,000 towards that.
That's a school expenditure. Sorry.
I'm just letting you know that that's what the only thing was. And I'll just bring up, because I haven't shared with this board, but Chris Hagerman has also asked for us to take a look at helping restore the cupola.
Well, again, the DDA had a plan to take care of the cupola area. Real nice plan. We had taken it around to the board, to the school. We took it everywhere. Got everybody's approval. Everybody was on board. Everybody said they'd like to see bathrooms, but we didn't have the money in the budget to do bathrooms at that time. And we even had a contractor lined up to do it. We had contracts and everything ready to be signed, and then COVID hit and put a halt on life as we know it. So that's why it all went on hold. I'm hoping that that project could at least be revived, because that was something everybody was going for. And at that, I'm sure it's gonna be more than that now, but at that time, it was under $25,000 to really make that park look sharp with a centerpiece with the cupola up on bricks the way it's supposed to be, the way it was on the school, back when I went there. And I'm giving you my age. So that's something that we could do. But what we could do right now, the legwork has been done. You don't need any engineering to replace old sidewalks. All we need to do is hire a contractor to do it. So I'm hoping that we can that this board can start becoming a board of doers instead of a do-nothing board. Because right now, you're not doing anything and you and I know that that's not true. There are things you do, okay, no question. But the general public out there who's never sat on that side of that dais, it looks to them like all you guys do is fight, like I mentioned earlier. So I would encourage you, and I'll be glad to help you in any way you can if you need some questions on this, but all of the inventories have been done. Everything's been identified. There may be some changes because that was a couple of years ago. There may be some more sidewalk that's done. And I don't know if the money that's left over will do all of it, but I think it'll do most of it. Yes, Marie?
Oh, did you have a question?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
I'm just asking, which sidewalks? Are you talking about all the sidewalks in downtown, or are you talking about the ones at the park?
Most everything was on Main Street, High Street, and then farther down the hill on Main Street. Just a lot of crumbling sidewalks, just stuff where they were raised like this is a tripping hazard. I mean, we had someone, just because, well, one of two things, and I think you guys identified this. Either we have to enforce our ordinance and make people adhere to it, or we gotta do this. Either way, if we don't do one or the other, or both, I think you guys are opening yourself up to potential lawsuits and potential damages. Somebody there was branches hanging over the sidewalk, the ordinance wasn't enforced, he was riding his bike and fell down and broke his arm a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago. And I don't know what that would cost us, but we don't need that. God forbid somebody gets hurt anyway. Sidewalks are supposed to be there to make sure that people don't get hit by cars and don't get hurt. Yes, Marie?
Well, I have a quick question for the treasurer, hopefully you know. DDH funds,
I think there's like $175,000 in there.
okay. So if it was, say you have $175,000 for DDA money for sidewalks, is there any way of knowing how much that would give us for sidewalks? Or is that, can we take that off the table and use the DDA funds for that? Is that,
Well, you could use ARPA funds, you could use general funds, but that would be an acceptable use of the DDA funds. And it would fulfill the promise that was made to the public.
okay,
It would make me happy because I spent an awful lot of time, an awful lot of work. I never got paid a nickel to do any of this. But I wanted to see the downtown spruced up. So I'd love it if you use the DDA funds for that, and then we could bring this thing to a closure.
but there isn't really any way of knowing how much of the sidewalks it would do?
Yeah,
Okay,
there is.
okay.
You probably have to get a contractor.
Yeah, we'd have to get
So
newer.
we'd have to pay a contractor, if that's what you're saying. We have to pay the contractor to be able to figure it out, which you
No.
said
No, you
there
just-
wouldn't be any
No.
legwork because it's already
No.
done.
We just identify what we want
Okay.
done.
Yes.
Send the contractor out
Correct.
there, tell them to give us a bid. That won't
Correct.
cost us anything.
No, that's
And then we're
what
gonna
I'm
have to do
asking.
sealed bids in a meeting.
Okay.
and,
Correct.
Yep.
Karen's used to doing that. I've been part of several of them. I won the bid to do the senior center kitchen. And,
So for us, we have to put a dollar amount and a location. In other words, will 175,000 do from Clark Road to the end of Main Street?
well, you don't give them a number.
Okay,
You tell them, these are the areas that
Yes.
I want to do.
Give us a bid.
And then if that comes over the budget that you want, then you've got two
That's-
options. You
okay.
can bring more money from ARPA funds or more money from your general funds or
Correct.
whatever and get them all done. Or you can identify, let's do this part this year, let's do the worst first. Next year, we can do these that aren't quite so bad.
so the 175 is a seed start, it's a seed money. It's not a final.
I'd be real surprised if you couldn't do the whole thing for 175.
Okay, that's what I,
If I may, thank you. Sorry.
Yes.
Nobody
You
wants
need the
to-
hammer. You
Nobody
want the
needs to
hammer?
hear me cackle, no. So Rick is correct. There was a walking audit done
We
a
did
few,
two, actually.
few years ago. Okay,
Yeah.
2 of them. And I have to believe that Miles has that data in the planning office. It would be they were rated based on what needed to be replaced and what was maybe in minor disrepair and then
I
what
think
was
we gave them a
okay.
4-tier rating, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. So this
So
would-
if we could identify those areas maybe that were the worst
Yeah,
or
and you may want
3s
to,
and 4s.
this will take a lot of the work out of it, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to spend half a day and just go over that again, just to see if everything.
And they have been
before
doing
it
that
gets-
because they're doing the non-motorized trail plan right now, which requires an audit, so
Right.
they have been doing that.
Perfect.
And we'd also avoid what's gonna be done next year with the safe routes to school.
Yeah, I
my next
talked with Jason about the safe routes to school. I wanted to make sure that one issue wasn't stepping on the toes of the other one. And he said that they certainly could work in conjunction, and the safe routes to school grant that we've applied for, the money that we put into this could be our part of the matching fund. Part of it had, he didn't know, he was unclear on how much was matching funds. It wasn't an even match. But if we needed 25%, most of that money could go toward that, the money that we put into the sidewalk. So
Does Safe Route School
seems
actually
like
go
the
down
timing's
Street?
right. If you
Didn't
start,
think they did. I think they would high.
They come through the park, they come through Cousins Park,
Right.
so off of Main.
And up Slate, but I didn't think the main street.
I'd have to
was-
look at the route again. Taylor says
Is
High
that a
Street and
hand up for a
Walnut.
question, or is that a hand up for?
No, it's just some information.
Okay.
Of part of the county sidewalk, this safe routes to school, they notified us if we were to put any permanent concrete through the James Cousins Park, we'd have to do an archaeological dig.
Exactly.
right,
They're aware.
Yeah, and that hasn't.
Going through
been-
the
Yeah,
park.
that hasn't been defined to us yet as to really how much that would cost.
right.
Okay, so everything can be and probably will be adjusted,
Right.
okay?
Yeah, the only part that we identified at the time was the actual sidewalk by the road.
Exactly.
So
That's what I guess
there were some problems there, but it wasn't the bulk of it. There were problems up and down the road all the way. The nice part about doing the regular sidewalks is you don't have to waste, I shouldn't say waste, but you won't have to spend a lot of money on engineering because you're just replacing sidewalk that have been there for years. And we also included, when we were doing it, the thought that we wanted to make sure that these were barrier-free, so it had the,
right. They have to be.
ADA compliant,
They have to be.
I'm sorry.
ADA compliant.
ADA compliant, yes.
Right.
Been a long time since I've been part of that.
Yeah, that's, okay.
But the other thing that I do want to mention, I don't want to sound rude here, but you guys got to get on the stick because the concrete guys are getting really backed up right now, and hopefully we can still fit this in before September, October this year. And if you start right now on it and maybe put something on your agenda for the next meeting, get the ball rolling. Next spring, we could be walking down new sidewalks. Any other questions for me?
No, that sounds good. That's appreciated.
Okay, good.
That was the discussion needed for the sidewalk, which of course went into planning commission. And so if this can be added to it, I think that's a plus. If we can, I don't know what they're thinking, you may know with planning commission, what they're thinking for how many sidewalks within a walking area. I think what this is looking at is Main Street, to be able to access sidewalks there. I don't know what the planning commission they're saying all sidewalks. I don't know what that means frankly, but
That means,
all sidewalks, wherever they're at. Gotcha.
and are in disrepair.
And where they aren't, that's, okay.
Just the ones that are important.
Nope, that is appreciated. All right, we have a,
Let me add to that, I'm sorry.
nope,
But if you are putting new sidewalks in where there are no sidewalks, then you will need engineering.
correct. Yeah, and I'm not sure if you're looking at that, that's a different thought than I think the DDA had with what they initially started to do. Okay, that's what I want to make sure. Okay. Well, guys, you're going to have a 3-hour meeting, sorry about that. Next one is B, items for action. This is the disposition of the remaining 2022 SCUBA funds.
Thank you. So in the past, I have asked, requested that the township take back the remaining fund balance that's left over at SCUMA. This year, because there is the large construction project at SCUMA and Bath Township has a share of that money, I'm asking you to leave that money in, from the fund balance. And they are creating a bond reserve fund at the authority for each municipality. I would ask that you leave that money there and request that that be placed in our bond reserve fund.
We're looking at how many million, about 1 point, so many millions for the new, ours is like a 45.
Ours is like $4.5 million.
Yeah.
But the interest payment that'll be due this year can come out of that payment, and that payment will be approximately $45,000.
So that's only interest.
Correct.
It's
The
not
first
on
payment,
the
the first
principal.
payment is interest.
So we don't have any that we're putting on the principal?
No, the first
Okay.
payment this year is interest only for the SRF.
Why is that?
It's, I'm told it's the way the SRF works for the state. And then after that, annually, payments will be due in April and October.
Right.
And those will include principal.
Okay. How much, do you know how much those would be?
I don't at this time.
So all we know is what's left, you're asking for interest only.
I'm asking you to have SCUMA place it in
Right.
Bath Township's bond reserve fund at the authority.
Okay, no. Oh, I'm sorry, Ryan.
It's okay, I just raised my hand.
I know, but you need to waive it, so I, my peripheral would be okay.
I move that we ask SCUMA to retain the remaining fund balance for Bath Township from 2022 and place it in a bond reserve fund for the township.
Second.
Now, is that what, so you take those funds and you move them into another fund, is that? what-
The secretary treasurer, which is Lisa Mead at SCUMA,
Right.
will do the actual transfer, but that's correct.
That's, okay. I knew it was
Instead of
Lisa.
writing us a check, they'll
Right, she'll
take
just
that
move
money
it.
and deposit it into that bond reserve account.
She's a good lady, she knows just what she's doing. Okay. Do you have a second? Joe?
Joe.
Of course. Okay.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're on 15, which is the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I wanted to start with Tom King Junk Day, which was a success as it has been in past years. On Saturday, we had 250 drop-offs. Pickups for seniors and those that are disabled were 164, which was approximately 40 a day for the 4 days we picked up. There were 16 employees that worked, 3 community volunteers that worked, and 8 Granger employees that worked. And I can tell you, I worked at the electronics recycling, and our residents are very appreciative of this event. They thanked us profusely, they thanked everybody that was working, and it felt like a very positive thing for this community. And I enjoyed working and seeing our residents, but I really do think that they appreciate that we do that each year. Today, our new deputy treasurer began work. Her name is Kelly Arnold. She has 20 years of service in banking as a senior teller and as a senior loan writer. She is actually from DeWitt Charter Township, and her son attends Bath High School here. So when you get a chance to meet Kelly, I hope you enjoy it. She's a very smart lady. The application window has closed today for police officers. We have, actually, we have 2 openings now because we received the resignation of a police officer that is going to start another business. So we will have 2 openings, but currently we were trying to fill 1. We received 4 applications. I believe 2 of them came in today. So we do have some candidates to look at for that. And last but not least, I have one other thing too. An engineer will be here from CTI to address the troubleshooting with the video blackouts that keep happening. We are aware from people's notifying us that it continues to black out, the video blacks out, but the sound can still be heard. So the engineer will be on site to take care of that.
What's CTI?
Conference Technology Incorporated.
Conference?
Technology Incorporated.
Okay, thank you.
My last item is that we are going to be doing some tree work in the cemetery at Pleasant Hill, which will affect traffic flow through Webster Road later this week on Thursday and Friday. Notice has been put out and will be hand-delivered to the residents that work within the affected area, that the tree work will be completed and that the closure will take place Thursday from approximately 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it may continue depending on weather conditions and how easy or difficult the trees make our process. But we hope to have it wrapped up on Thursday. During the road closure, traffic, people that live in the houses that are affected across from the cemetery will be able to enter and egress their property. Emergency vehicles will be able to get through. What will be of concern will be morning, probably rush hour traffic, and the evening rush hour traffic may be impacted by this process.
When is that taking place?
This Thursday and Friday, May 4th and 5th. Hopefully it's completed on the 4th.
So 5th is a backup day?
It's a backup day.
Okay.
If anything goes wrong or it takes longer than expected.
Okay. Is that it?
It is.
Oh. Public statement
Oh,
number,
right.
oh, I'm sorry.
I had a
Go ahead,
question.
trustee, yes. He doesn't.
Wearing your HR director hat, can you talk about the policy updates I know you and Taylor were working on for the handbook?
Yes, actually, she's the one that's been working on them, so I'll let her speak to that.
Yes, so I have a few more edits to make to the personnel policy before I send it over to legal counsel for them to take a look at that and make sure that it meets all of the employment laws, especially some of the new ones that have passed in the last recent years. And then following that, that will be brought to this board.
Would you say a lot has changed?
I would say a significant amount of
Got it.
things have at least been updated, not necessarily a big change in like the meaning or how things will be done, but updating verbiage and things of that nature.
Great, thank you.
How long do you think that'll take?
Which part? I'm sorry.
All of it, before it comes to us?
I can't say. Depends on what legal counsel's workload looks like. Sometimes they can be quicker with things. Sometimes it takes a little longer. I would hope within the next couple of months that would be before this board.
Okay. Thank you. Now we can do public statements to somebody's.
I'm really interested in these ARPA funds. So
Yeah.
who will set the criteria for the distribution of these funds?
Question.
The board, the trustees. Has the criteria been established? Will there be a process to apply, and what will the process be?
I don't want to speak for this board, but I don't think until they've had that discussion that can be provided to you, that answer.
And who will select the grants, or the proposals, or the actions? How will that happen? I mean, when we apply for a CIP, the Planning Commission makes recommendations to the board, and the board chooses whether or not they want to fund. These funds already exist. They have to be allocated by April 24th, so we're need to be allocated by April 2024.
That's correct.
It's by the end of this.
That's what the Planning Commission is telling us.
No, they have a year.
I don't think it's April.
No, they have a year to allocate it, 24 next year. Then they have 2 years, 26, to make sure that.
I thought it was year end, not April.
It is. Funds must be spent upon receipt and must be obligated by December 31st, 2024.
Okay.
Funds must be expended by December 31st, 2026, but funds can be used for costs incurred from March 3rd, 2021 through December 31st, 2024, except for premium pay, which you had referenced, which can be retroactive to January 27th, 2020. So it is saying that we also need to incur the costs in 2024 or before 2024.
Sorry, Judy. The only issue I had was April. I did not think it was April. I thought it was the end of the year. So my apologies.
I'm just reading what it says right here in front of me. And so, actually, investments in an upgraded senior center might qualify. I mean, we don't have the criteria, but it does say under township amenities that might be an eligible allocation.
There is criteria in the law, in the federal law.
That you would use to select the projects?
Well, I would push back that this isn't like a grant program, right? It's just funds to the township to use for township business that meet within, I think there's 4 topics of ARPA. So as long as a project meets within one of those, it's legally eligible to be spent that way. But I haven't heard our intent to like take open proposals.
Yeah, when will that discussion take place, and how can we participate in that conversation?
I don't know.
And where will the leadership for that come from? Hard question.
Heck, if I had my way, we'd be doing it now, but hey, what do you guys think?
Where will the leadership for the process come from? It's money, will it come from Jennifer?
Why don't we put it on the agenda
I don't
and
want
discuss
it,
it?
they do.
It should be on the agenda and everybody bring ideas and we vote on it. To me, percentages or
See,
we have to start somewhere.
You do have to start somewhere, there's no question. And you're absolutely correct, so thank you, Judy, for
The clock is
bringing that.
ticking, so
You're
I'm
right.
just,
Good
I'm
thought.
just wondering, how do we get on first base here?
How do you get, we're not on first base.
And what are our 4 topics? You said you knew there's 4 subjects, 4 areas.
COVID-19 mitigation.
Brenda, has the timer to go off?
COVID-19 mitigation, premium payments, revenue loss, and infrastructure.
Say that again, COVID.
19 mitigation,
Thank you.
premium payments for workers that work during COVID,
Okay.
revenue loss, and infrastructure.
There's some documents that I think, Karen, you gave us last year maybe, or maybe 2021.
So I'm working currently from the presentation that was
changed a lot.
given well, the final rule was decided in 2022, so.
Infrastructure would cover lots of stuff.
Correct, it's wastewater treatment plants, non-point source pollution, weather events, green infrastructure, and pollution is how it's.
Senior center.
No, but a revenue loss could be maintenance of infrastructure, roads, bridges, town hall, fire station,
Sidewalks.
parks, and other recreation facilities.
Sidewalks.
Park trail improvements are part of the COVID-19 mitigation.
Well, and the senior center could have lost money for COVID too.
Could you resend that to us, Karen, those decks?
Yeah, great.
Thanks.
To all of us, can we all get a copy of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
you're done, sorry. Get her out.
First thing I want to ask is, Alan, could you pull that red book out and see if my name's in it, please? I heard that you and Mr. Fewens Bliss enjoyed tearing my things up and throwing them in the trash.
No, this is the one, you got one and I got one.
Okay.
When we went to that committee meeting.
Okay, so you don't know where mine is then?
I have no idea.
Okay. I know you guys threw the rest of my stuff in the trash and had a little fiesta with that.
Honestly.
Hey, Alan.
I cleaned out some of the drawer and I recycled a lot of it. We didn't have fun with it. It just recycled it, so.
Don't tell me it didn't happen. I know it did.
Okay.
Okay. Brenda, when Marie asked for, or basically stated that typically the clerk assists the supervisor with running the meetings, do you know what she was looking for?
I'm not sure what she was looking for.
Okay.
She made the comment last
Typically,
week.
the clerk would say, you've got a first, coach, kind of coach her on, now you have a second, you know, kind of keep her on track.
But when I
see
tried-
Jennifer doing that a little bit, whispering things. That's what every clerk I've ever seen does. She wasn't clear as to what she was looking for because the conversation was a little bit disgruntled from this end. Whose idea was it to bring the timer?
It was my idea.
It was your idea?
But when I've helped, tried to help her in the past, she doesn't want my help. And then she says she wants it, so
Okay, let's
No,
not bicker
that's-
about this, folks. Let's just get this straight, because we are now paying attorneys $600
That's
to
correct.
babysit this board.
That's correct.
Now, who voted in favor of the timer? Ryan, Ellen, you, Jennifer, and Joe? Okay. Just curious. Now, for having the attorneys here, do we have to pay them for pre-meeting discussions so they know what's on the agenda? Are they going to be reviewing the agenda? Do we pay extra for that?
That's my understanding. It's the entire meeting, so
So
if
if you need to
there's,
call them and talk to them? on
if I
something?
send them the agenda prior to that, it should be part of that.
Okay, and if they have to call you with a question, there's no extra fees for that?
It's my understanding that's all encompassing of a meeting.
Are they going to come to special meetings and workshops too?
If those are scheduled, I'm guessing so.
Okay, so we're looking at more than $1,200 a month potentially,
All-
if this board starts doing their work.
That's correct.
All I can say at this time is what's scheduled, is what
Okay.
they're aware of.
Strategic plan. I do not understand why you folks are not working on a strategic plan. I heard Marie speak in favor of it. I heard Karen struggling with it because she's being forced to do it. And as you all sit here and you cannot answer questions about where you're going to spend the money or what you're going to do or where you're headed or where you're not headed, I know Ryan for sure knows what a strategic plan's all about. I assume Joe does. I'm sure Cheryl and Marie do. Brenda, and I don't know if Brenda and Jennifer have any experience with it or not, but it's vital. I mean, how do you know where you're going, where you're headed, what you're going to do? Are we still on a police car rotation? Or have we fallen off that wagon too? You need to get this township back on track, because I'm going to share something with you. I was out trying to get local businesses to run ads and to donate for our event last week, and all I got was lectures from people in this town, how sick they are of the way this township is being ran. I had to go to DeWitt, to Langsburg. Very few Bath businesses were even willing to donate silent auction items or run ads. The gals in the plaza down here were great. The SNA software was great. See who else you see in the brochure? Mr. Curtis. Count your businesses that refused because they're tired of this.
I'm glad you're bringing that up because I have the same thing with committees.
Yeah, it's hard
Exactly
to
the
get
same.
people in.
They don't want to do it.
Next thing is the ARPA funds. I would strongly suggest when you're spending those funds that you don't create new projects to spend those on, that you stick with something that you've already got going and maybe expand it or repair it or boost it. And then also, if you were to invest money in the sewer system, that only services part of our township. So not all residents are going to get their fair share, per se. Expanding the water, the same thing. few of the projects that I read. I mean, you can do whatever you want with that money, for sure, but I would be really careful with what you do with it, because this is what I'm hearing from people. And, you know, improve what we have, work on some maintenance, avoid the water, avoid the sewer system, because the people who are on septic tanks do not want to pay for our sewer system. And we've heard that repeatedly. Karen, I have a question for you about the director's position at the senior center. How many hours a week does our senior center director work in-house? She like 4 hours on Monday, 4 Wednesday, 6 Friday?
6 Monday, Wednesday, Friday, she said.
She's 6?
6 Monday, Wednesday, 7 on Friday.
What are her hours, what are the hours on Monday? Like,
She usually gets here around 9 and then leaves around 2 or 3, depending on the day.
or 1?
Friday's bingo.
Okay, so all of her hours are in-house? They're
No,
not?
she works from home Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's usually doing, contacting people that have reached out to her. She's doing paperwork, things of that nature.
And that can't be done here? While servicing our seniors? Is there a reason it's at home instead of here?
Currently, there's card games taking place on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Not
so-
all day.
Not all day, I understand that.
I would strongly suggest that we bring our director's hours into our senior center. People are having a very difficult time getting a hold of the senior center in general. And it's really hard to schedule anything. A lot of folks don't want to come there during hours when other people are there to pick up a potty chair or to drop stuff off. And it's hard to do when we have a full house over there already. I do not understand for 1 second why any of that work is being done at home. There's a building right there, the computer's there, the phones are there. To make phone calls, you have to, from home? Why?
She has a cell phone. I understand, but she has a cell phone. She can be contacted. She can make calls.
Well, that's good, but I don't see where that has anything to do with not being in the town, in the senior center.
Okay?
I don't understand working from home right now, especially at the senior center. Folks can't get in. If someone needs something, she's not there. She could be there instead of sitting home.
Okay, thank you for your input.
And that complaint has gone around and around and around at the advisory board.
I've heard it too. I agree with you completely.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It'd be like having our cook sitting at home. I think that's all that I have for right now. Thank you.
More public comment?
I walked about 10 miles today trout fishing, sorry. Ray Kotke, Park Lake Road. Probably Taylor, I just want to speak with about Williams and Works. Presently, the Recreation Committee is working with Williams and Works on the Parks and Rec 5-year plan. And that's, correct me if I'm wrong, that's not going to be completed until late 2024, is that correct?
There should be a draft completed by December,
Of this year?
of this year, depending on what the budget process looks like for this board. It'd hopefully be brought to them the end of December or beginning of January, meaning that it would then be sent to the DNR the end of January, beginning of February.
Okay, so it sounds to me like, knock on wood, we could, hopefully, if we plan on it, I say we, meaning the township, to apply for DNR trust fund grant for our parks, non-motorized trail, if you will. We could be we could be ready for it in regards to the April deadline. I believe it's April 1 for DNR trust fund grant. But I've been doing some research on that, and I know that Williams and Works, in addition to our Parks and Rec plan, they're going to also do our non-motorized plan. And I know just through reading on their website and talking to some of them that they actually are very, very good at designing trail systems, non-motorized trail systems.
Yes, they have done quite a few.
And I think this would be an ideal time because for a DNR trust fund grant, you're required to have a conceptual plan for your trail. I think it would be an ideal time to kind of weasel in there and get them to do a conceptual plan for the Park Lake Trail and Nature Preserve. You know, when they're, it was just a thought, I said, well, you know, as long as they're already working for us, maybe they give us a deal, you know? You're already on the clock, so, that was one of my thoughts, because they're professionals in that, and, you know, we're gonna need that for doing a grant. And I'm really, really, really hoping that we, officially go for a DNR trust fund grant for this project. I don't think any of you realize how big this could be in a positive manner for the township, to have the Park Lake Trail and Nature Preserve on the entire south end of the lake. It's a very, very unique, and I've preached this a million times, but just incidentally, Karen, you would be the one for the grant. So I have so far a running total of the township contribution of almost $179,000. That would go toward our, you know, copay. What do you call that? Isn't it a copay?
Match.
Matching funds, yeah. And I know it's 25% or more for a DNR trust fund grant. The more you go in contributions, the better chance you have of getting funds from them.
I don't know if they would consider that after it being 10 years.
Oh, that doesn't matter. If it, you know, it's been for the trail, and, you know, the property that they actually gave the township $50,000 to purchase to go out to Park Lake Road, that, you know, you can't include that, but that's part of the yeah. It's gonna be a continuation of that. So anyway, I'm just hypothesizing. Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else for public statements?
So I need to apologize to everybody. I told you something incorrect last week. I asked you about a round-robin meeting. And a round-robin meeting is when you hand a slip of paper with a question on it and sign yes or no, and then hand it to the next person and so on. That's also illegal meeting. What I got mixed up is what you did was a round-the-horn meeting. So a round-the-horn meeting is also in violation of the Open Meetings Act. Now, I'm not trying to get anyone. This isn't about getting people. I would just appreciate doing things right. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You voted in favor of bringing township attorney in every week. It's an illegal vote. The whole thing was illegal because you did it with a round the horn, just including 2 members of the board. You admitted to it on tape. Jennifer admitted to it. She said it wasn't a meeting, but it was. She didn't know it was a meeting, I'm sure, but it was. And Karen, I'm sorry, but you admitted that you gave that information or sought information from everybody but Marie and Cheryl.
No, I said everyone spoke to me except for Marie and Cheryl.
Okay, so then you know that you had a quorum. Because you know 4 is a quorum.
It's my understanding that people are allowed to speak to me as the superintendent.
You did not take action on it.
They can speak to you as superintendent, but you can't pose a question. Troy used to try to do this all the time. He would send us an email, what do you folks think about if we were to do this over on Park Lake? We can't answer that meeting. Otherwise, we're in violation of the Open Meetings Act. Maybe they didn't realize that they were, but the good news is you guys have a chance to fix this. All you've got to do is what they call a do-over in the Open Meetings Act, and you all have one, because I sent one to everyone. I missed Ryan, but you made up for that, the Open Meetings Act handbook. It tells you how you can do that over. You just have to undo the situation that you did tonight, the illegal action, the illegal voting that was done in the open meeting, in violation of the Open Meetings Act. And then you can go ahead and redo it legally. We've had to do this before. Remember when, what was her name? Yeah, McCrimmon. In fact, you were part of that, Marie. She cut you off and didn't allow you to speak at the podium during a DDA meeting.
Yes, she did.
So they had to redo that with what they call a do-over. But once the gavel hits the judge's desk, there's no do-overs. That's when you pay $1,000 fine or whatever they impose on you. That's when they impose their jail sentence, if there is one. I doubt there would be, but the sad part about that is the township doesn't pay that for you, neither does the township's insurance company, because that's against you, not against the township. So, thought you guys might like to know that. Next, I never said anything sexist. Nothing that I said was sexist. Comes real rich from somebody who treats that lady at the helm in such a sexist manner almost weekly, almost every meeting. It's just unbelievable. You see, you can't get lies to stick. Did you think it was sexist, Jennifer, that I asked you to not treat me like that? Or you don't want to answer? You thought that was sexist then?
I don't have to comment,
You don't have to.
so I'm not going to.
Okay. So you didn't think it was sexist, but you don't want everybody else to know it.
That's not what I said.
Oh, you do want to, you did think it was sexist.
I'm not making a
but
comment,
you don't
Rick.
want everybody else to know. You know, I'm not responsible for your attitude, but you gave me the attitude last time to the point where you screamed, to the point where it made one of those things with the microphone. I didn't ask for that. All I asked for was can you tell me where the DDA money is? And you acted like I was calling you out and like you stole the money and took it somewhere. I didn't do that at all. Is this funny, Joe? You don't have to comment either.
You know what? I'm not going to, Rick.
Okay, good. And quit laughing at me. Anyway, I meant what I said. I'm fine with helping you out with the sidewalk project. I don't want to be part of a township that has a do-nothing board. I wish I could compliment you by saying you were just a do-nothing board. So I'll be more than happy to help you with that. I have nothing at stake here. I'm not running for office. I'm just sick of people doing the wrong thing, breaking the law, breaking the Open Meetings Act, and then blaming everything on our supervisor. And I gotta say, Karen, that I'm unhappy with you in a few certain things too. I feel like anytime there's anything controversy coming your way, you find a way to insulate yourself. I think you should step up and be the superintendent if you want to be that one. I think you're getting paid for it. Thank you, everyone.
All right, we got a couple minutes left. Anybody for public comment? All right, we're going to move to 17 item, board member comments. We started with Cheryl before. Ryan, trustee Feedwin Bliss.
Thank you. As Judy indicated earlier tonight, the CIP process is going to be open. As we talked about, due May 26th. Different than it has been in recent past, projects require a township department to sponsor them. So as you talk with your committees, as you talk with your departments that you work with, make sure that they know the deadline's coming and that it requires a township department to sponsor. We would love to see a bunch of projects. In my time being on the board, the first time and this time, the number of projects in that pipeline have really shrunk. The definition, if that's helpful, for capital improvement project that we're using is capital improvement projects are currently defined as permanent, physical, or system improvements that cost at least $20,000 or significant equipment purchases in excess of $20,000 and add value to the township. And then there's some examples in the packet as well. But that's why I indicated to Judy that seems, senior center seems to fit really well into that definition. So would love to see lots of projects. For those of you who have been interested in attending former Supervisor Paula Clark's memorial, that's on Monday, the 8th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the MSU Union. It's being called a memorial, not a funeral. I'm not sure if that's purposeful, but that's how it's being presented, and public is welcome. And then finally, a big thanks to the folks who have reached out in the last couple of weeks, the kind comments, the calls and texts that I get after meetings and before meetings with encouragement and ideas to share what could be done at the board level and in the planning commission as well. I really appreciate that support. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Trustee Rosecrans?
I was up here Saturday to pick up people when they come through with the trash. And besides one couple bringing us cookies, everybody said thank you and was very appreciative of what we were doing with picking up trash in the township. Thank you.
Yeah,
I just
go
want to
ahead.
remind everybody that is in the Laingsburg School District that we have an election tomorrow, and the 56
Yeah.
voters that are here in Bath,
I'm
that
one of them.
they will vote at the Victor Township Hall. Okay. And I also want to let you know that we received a $7,500 election grant to use on election equipment or stuff for elections.
Ooh, that's good.
So,
Where'd the grant come from?
State of Michigan.
Very nice. Not enough, but nice.
It helps.
It helps. Okay, is that it?
done, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing the sidebar. All right. I'm going to say it again so that you got it. And this is for the Fahey-Schultz, requiring that an attorney be present to kind of monitor what we're doing. And I wanted to reiterate, to make it very clear to persons in the audience, thank you for being here. For those watching from home, also thank you for watching. And the media, which has left, that this proposal is totally going to cost, well, it'll potentially cost, it'll probably be more than that, but the potential cost is about $14,000 a year if we stay with them for a year. That's what it'll cost. It's totally unnecessary and an absolute waste of taxpayer dollars. Do you want me to type that out so that you got it?
Unnecessary and a waste of tax. Okay, I got it.
Got it? All right. And thank you all for staying so long and for your input. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. And I did have a wonderful time Saturday. It was great. It really was. And I hope you do it again.
I just want to say thank you for the community members that came out on Saturday for the junk day. I was the one who planned it this year, and it was a wonderful event.
Well, I'm glad Tom King Junk Day is alive and well, but I'd like to take my time this evening to thank all my public safety workers for all they do around here every day.
I second that. That's great. I appreciate those guys too. I agree that the attorneys at the meeting is a complete waste of money. We just need to follow Robert's rules. And I'm sorry I missed the concert. It sounds like it was a blast and we made some money. Thank you guys for running that and it's appreciated. And Tom King Day people too, all of it.
All right, we get to be,
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
I forgot we
Third.
don't do unanimous consent.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Benzi?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yep.
It's officially